thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Hey, good morning. It is Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Long-awaited debut last night, Victor Wembanyama. And I gotta be serious about this. Perloff is going to be driving to San Antonio to apologize to Wemby because it wasn't perfect last night. He ended up getting in a bit of foul trouble, but in the fourth quarter, 9 of his 15 points, Perloff, came in the final 7 minutes. Now, they didn't win the game, but I don't think San Antonio is going to win a lot of games this year. That's not the point. Wemby was not dominant, but, man, you can see the talent. You can see the skill set, and when he gets going, that's going to be impossible to stop.
Yeah, am I scared of a 7'5" two-guard who has no interest in being in the paint? No. The guy is taller than everyone, can dunk on everyone, and all he wants to do is float back to the three-point line. You know what they used to call that back in my day, Maggie? Soft.
Oh, boy.
Soft.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm not. You got to pressure the defense at all times. Now, listen, I'm not saying he can't grow into that, but if that's the player we're going to see all season long, then he's certainly not going to lead the Spurs anywhere because, listen, it's a new NBA where you do shoot from beyond the three-point line. But at 7'4", you got to pressure the defense inside. And I think he can grow into that, but it is not even close right now.
Okay, this is like he's not going to be a fully finished product on the opening night, right? Like the guy still is so skinny. He needs to put weight on if that's going to even be possible. I'm not sure with his frame how much bigger he's going to get, but he's got to get stronger. He's got to get a little bit more confident when he's going to be in the paint. I think it's smart that the Spurs are going to maybe keep, bring him along slowly here. Don't let him be in there, getting pushed around, getting moved off the spot, potentially getting hurt on the offensive side when he does have other ways to score for you. And on the defensive side, he's in the paint altering shots, like he's blocking shots. He's doing his part defensively.
He's a great defensive player.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
He should be.
And he's even better than the average 7'5" guy. Not that there are many of them because he's so fast, he can go out and block a three-point shot. He can block outside shots. He blocked that Kyrie Irving shot, the second play of the game or something. Here's the thing about Wemby. He keeps getting compared to LeBron James. The broadcasters were very clear.
Crazy.
He is you heard
what
it.
Way?
At least 5 times in the first half, I heard LeBron James' name mentioned.
Is this because of the hype?
Yeah, he's saying he is the most. He said he is the. This is what the broadcaster said. I think it was Ryan Ruocco and JJ Redick were on that game, right?
And Richard Jefferson, I think.
And Richard, they said this is maybe the most hype prospect in the history of the NBA, at least the most hype since LeBron James. And then they kept saying like LeBron James, he came in very mature. Greg Popovich said he's very mature, very professional, said much like LeBron James coming into the NBA. So don't tell me that the LeBron isn't out there. If you go back and watch LeBron's first game, he's pressuring the defense the entire time. Now, listen, I know he's LeBron.
Yeah.
He's the second best player of all time. I know you think first maybe, but he's top 2. I think that is the bar we're talking about here, Maggie. He can't just be a 7'4" outside. He can't be Kristaps Porzingis, who is going to be eventually a disappointment for the Celtics. I was
going to say, that's a tough
He can't be a tall guy who floats outside because the defense wants you to do that. You don't think the defense wants Wemby doing a crossover off the dribble three-pointer? When Joel Embiid does that for the Sixers, the defense is so excited because they're like, keep him out of the paint. Go outside all you want.
Okay, but can we give him a minute? I mean, I think that you're going to start to see that. I think this has to be very calculated here by Greg Popovich because I think they want to make sure that he's feeling comfortable. Like he is playing in the NBA level for the first time. I know that the preseason was like amazing, but this is the real thing. He's going up against Dallas who, might be maybe is a championship contender this year. If things break right for them, I don't know. Like, really right? But
really right, like the top 6 teams have massive rash of injuries?
Listen,
okay.
Luka Doncic had a 33-point triple-double, not the story, right? Like, I think that
he has a 33-point triple-double every night, and that's not going to win you any games. Regardless, so this was kind of a short Dallas team that he should have just killed. And I think you saw that by the end of the game. He did a post-up from 8 feet away on a guy who's 6'8", who's covering him. He's got to do that all game, but I'm not sure. It's going to take a long time to get comfortable doing that.
I'm excited about what I saw.
Well, yeah.
Now, he also had Zion with a couple big dunks last night.
I'm all about that.
I know, and I knew you were going to be all upset.
Let's reset the bet. Explain the bet.
Okay, the bet is that Perloff said there was no chance that Victor Wembanyama was going to win Rookie of the Year. And he said, if he wins Rookie of the Year, I will drive to San Antonio myself and I will apologize to him, holding up a sign in French, just walking up and down the streets of San Antonio.
Right. The River Walk.
Sure.
It's going to be lovely. I can't wait to go because it's going to have great tacos. I know he looked really good last night.
Yeah.
I'm not terrified of this. I do feel like there's a scenario where he's not going to be that effective. They're going to lose a lot of games, and they might get him under the 65-game window. Because you already saw last night they minimized his minutes.
Yep.
They're going to be very careful with him. I think that is my best out.
Well, okay, but now you're just kind of hoping on like a Greg Popovich rest strategy.
Well, if they play him 28 minutes, is he going to be able to get enough points?
I think that he is such a lead on this award already because of the hype that all he has to do is keep playing in games like last night. They don't even have to win. The NBA will give NBA Rookie of the Year to a guy who's not on a good team. They are fine with that. This is not like the MVP.
But if they're not winning, I think Pop takes his minutes down even more and more. He's going to be very conservative. You saw Pop didn't really even want to feature him last night.
Okay,
he kept him out of the flow of the offense.
That's true, but here's the thing. They might limit the minutes, but he's still going to play the games and get credited for that, right? Because
right.
I also think the NBA is under a huge microscope right now with load management. Right. Because they're trying to get a new TV deal, and they want this is one of the big plagues of the NBA and why it annoys people. One of the reasons why the league annoys people because the stars don't play enough. And when you have the former players like Charles Barkley and Shaq and other guys who are ripping players because they're not playing enough, it doesn't help the situation. So I think the spotlight and the microscope's going to be on, and Wemby's got to play.
I'll tell you one man who doesn't care about the state of the league and load management. The man who invented load management. You think Greg Popovich cares about what people think about the NBA and load management? He's going to do what Greg Popovich wants to do. So I'm not super worried about that aspect of it. Am I reaching for straws a little bit here? Maybe. But I do see a player.
You're hoping that Greg Popovich is the Tim Duncan at the end of his career strategy. Very different.
I know tall, skinny guys who don't want to mix it up. I can see them, and I'm not sure that that's as easy to change as people think. Him floating around the three-point line, I just think if you're the defense, that's what you want him to do. Yeah. So that's what makes me nervous about Wembanyama. He's awesome. His shot is incredible. He moves like no 7'5" guy I've ever seen before. But does he want to get hit? Well, I don't think so.
The other part, too, is the guy was in foul trouble. So he can't be as maybe aggressive as he would want to be because he did get in foul trouble, which is going to happen with a young player, especially of his size. Also, the officials are going to have to adjust to how they're going to be calling fouls on him as well.
Okay, we'll see. I mean, how many dunks did he have last night? 1? He should have 5 dunks a game. Yeah. Make that the target. We saw it in preseason. He was sort of dunking on everyone's head, but that was preseason. And Dallas isn't even a good interior defensive team. What if he goes against a real big, tough guy who's going to, that everyone's going to go after him, too. That's the other thing. People are going to try and prove that or test him or something because he's getting all this hype, and I don't think other NBA centers are going to like that very much.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Are you buying in on the Victor Wembanyama hype? And I just know for Perloff, what kind of road trip snacks? You're not a big sweets guy, so I think you would probably eat toasted almonds for your road trips. I feel like you're an almonds guy.
Love almonds.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're on the road, you gotta get beef jerky. It's the only time you eat beef jerky, and it's delicious on the road.
Yeah, I think almonds, cashews,
salty foods.
I'm big into trail mix right now. That's been my kick. Trail mix is fantastic.
Trail mix is great, but it's basically you just want to eat M&Ms.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right.
The thing, though, I'm actually that's my least favorite thing in the trail mix most of the time.
Wow.
Because you got the cashews, you got your peanuts, you got your raisins. To me, the M&Ms are kind of they kind of throw you off a little bit, but it's a little change of pace, which I like.
They're the feature item. Also, trail mix always way too many peanuts because they load you up on the peanuts because it's the cheapest nut.
Oh, the one I go to, there's a place called the Nut Factory, and they load up, which is crazy, I know, but they load up on the cashews, which I love cashews. So that's been
why did you just go straight cashews?
Well, no, because I like the mix. I like to have the raisins and the other stuff in there, and then you got the M&Ms in there. So
in my opinion, there's nothing raisins can't ruin. I hate anything with raisins. If a raisin touches anything, it's off the plate immediately.
Not with you. I love a raisin.
Oh,
cinnamon
it's
raisin
the worst
bagel,
food.
Oatmeal raisin cookies.
Hate them. I hate.
Oh my god.
I like everything in that cookie except for the raisin. I think we need to put a poll up. Because I think a lot of people
better or worse.
I think a lot of people dislike raisins.
Should we add this to the bet that Perloff has to eat raisins on his way to San Antonio when he wins Rookie of the Year?
I like it. You have to eat a certain number of raisins on the way to San Antonio because it can't just all be breakfast tacos. Also, did you notice that every time there's someone who's like a nuts store, it has to be some kind of funny pun.
Yeah.
Like I'm nuts for nuts.
Yeah.
Like you can't just be like, here's the stuff. The store can't be called Trail Mix R Us, It's got to be like, we're nuts about nuts.
No cheap nuts.
What do I get if Scoot Henderson wins? Do I get, you guys pay for a flight to me to Florida? Because my favorite, Portland. My favorite restaurant in the country is in Portland, Oregon. Tasty and Alder. So I will fly to Portland and spend a week, all expense paid on you guys if Scoot Henderson ends up winning this thing.
But this bet isn't against us. You
Yeah.
make the bet against Wembanyama.
What do I get if Wembanyama doesn't win Rookie of the Year? I think we need to talk about that side of it.
You don't have to drive to San Antonio.
And
you get to hang with us.
Because I will not count out my guy, Scoot Henderson. He could put a big number. He only had 11 points last night in his debut, but he's my best hope here.
You better hope that he turns into.
Well, he's going to be legit, and he's going to have more numbers in Portland because they're going to push him. I feel like Popovich is my ally here. Pop, Maggie, you've watched this guy for years.
I know.
He does not care about our storylines. He does not care about entertainment.
Well, now I'm kind of into what's the power ranking of road trip snack items.
I think beef jerky will win that poll.
I'm going to be honest. I think you're sleeping on combos.
Yeah.
Combos is another thing. I don't think you ever eat that except for in the car, right? You eating combos at your house? I don't see it.
Now I want combos now.
What flavor? Pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, or cheddar cheese.
Cheddar cheese is also good.
Never had combos. I'm just realizing.
Yeah, I don't think I have either.
Yeah,
I've seen it
and never been interested.
Goldfish.
My kids are not fans of combos. They like Sun Chips and Doritos are their road
Doritos
foods.
would be high on the list too.
I think
Cheetos.
Cheez-Its.
Yeah, lot of salt, a lot of sodium on the road because you're dehydrated.
Yeah.
So I think all these salty foods combos fits right in there.
Same
Big
thing.
gulps.
Ironically, the same kind of foods you want when you're high.
All right. Which we can't condone you doing that on the road trip, but maybe when you get to San Antonio. Bugles I can't do. Anyway, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, Wembanyama, your thoughts. Is he going to live up to the LeBron James level hype?
You didn't hear LeBron. By the way,
Wembanyama?
You guys don't think that was a stretch to say LeBron is being brought up with Wembanyama. I understand it's a completely unfair comparison, but that's the way it is right now for that guy.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some other really hyped guys coming into the league, but not to this level.
Right. The hype, that's the one thing that I feel confident about. Like, he can't meet this hype. It's almost impossible. LeBron was such an outlier. I mean, I saw a video of LeBron's first game, and he was dunking on everyone's head. Wembanyama's just not there yet, I hope. I feel bad. I'm rooting against this kid.
It's in your own best interest.
I'll tell you one thing. I will watch a Spurs game over anybody. We're hyping this up with this bet. We're helping the NBA out. I had to stay up for that game, and I wasn't happy about that aspect of it because EJ's stupid Knicks Celtics took forever to end.
It was a great game, and too bad the refs were so in love, and the ESPN broadcast so in love with Boston.
I'm glad that
the refs already.
One game in, I always the last 12 seconds of an NBA game. How long does it last?
25 minutes, maybe an hour.
Maybe an hour and 45 minutes.
It's so low.
Has any team ever run out of timeouts in the history of the NBA? Because there's always four more coming.
You know what's funny? There's two. Baseball's done such a good job of speeding the game up. The NFL we don't really complain about because it's the NFL.
They have done a lot to speed the game up. Yeah.
Also speeding the game up a little bit. The two sports left. Basketball and college football.
Wow.
In college football, they're even starting to speed that up a little bit.
No, they sped it up and it ruined the game. It actually backfired. That's a bad thing they're doing.
For college.
Yeah, because college used to have these great comebacks and they're all gone now because they don't stop the clock on the first down.
They don't stop the clock on first down, but except for like inside of 2 minutes, right? I think they still do. But it's like those college games it was an hour a quarter.
Yeah. Well, the NBA did limit. They put in a rule you can't use a certain number of timeouts in the last 2 minutes because it was getting out of control. But it still seemed like there's a lot of them. I I think a lot of people feel that way about an NBA game. It's kind of excruciating at the end.
It can be exhausting.
A lot of it's the reviews. I mean, the next game, there was this extremely long Chris Stats review on an elbow.
Yeah, with
Isaiah Hardenstein. There was another review
Doris
earlier in the
was
game.
going to lose it over that, by the way. Doris Burke.
About how long it took?
No, she was out of her mind. Like, what is Porzingis and Havenstein, whatever.
Hartenstein,
yeah.
They're like Porzingis got the ball under the basket for a rebound, and he's like trying to get away from Hartenstein, who's like playing this really big, tough defense on him. So he kind of hits him in the face with an elbow, and she's like, "What is he supposed to do?" I mean, Doris was
not elbow him in the face. That's what he's supposed to do, Doris.
Well, I was a little worried about your guy Hartenstein because that was a really good European flop there by that dude.
Oh my gosh, give me a break.
That was.
Porzingis said, I didn't realize how hard I hit him until I saw the replay. He said it after the game.
We'll watch the video in the break, and Maggie could be the judge. Was that a flop? I understand he did hurt his lip, but at the end, he overemphasized it because, listen, it's the NBA.
Okay, we'll throw some elbows out in the break and see.
First of all, throwing some elbows. The guy was all over. He bear hugged Porzingis. What was he supposed to do?
You're
Quote
never
Doris
allowed
Burke.
to clear somebody with your elbows when someone's playing tight defense. I could
Tight
not
defense.
believe.
There was no defense. He grabbed his, I was hugging my daughter, and it was exactly what Hartenstein does.
okay. In the break, we all get to elbow each other in the face.
I think Maggie gets to judge. Watch the flop. You will see Hartenstein
I
fake.
watched it in real time, and then I watched it 100 more times on the replay.
And you guys don't think there was any flopping by Hartenstein?
I think he went down pretty easy. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, we say good morning to our CBS Sports Radio affiliates. What up? To the Weedos and the coffee drinkers, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can watch the show. Also, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. We're on the absolutely free to download Odyssey app, which is crystal clear, and we love it. Sirius XM channel 158 as well. Coming up, your calls on Wembanyama, 855-212-4CBS. Also, the big NFL injury that we've got our eye on. One contender dealing with something rather big. We'll get to that in a minute. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I feel like there's a trend developing in the NFL this year, Maggie, where injuries are coming out of nowhere. Like, we're not seeing them hurt on the field, then we're hearing about their injuries later. So yesterday, scrolling through, and all of a sudden, Tyreek Hill's hip is hurt, and he is questionable to play the Patriots on Sunday. Did anyone see a Tyreek Hill injury? And there's lots of injuries this week that happened after the game. Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, nobody knows the source of his knee injury. That's a great mystery. I don't know if teams are holding close. But Tyreek Hill is a great choice, a great bet for MVP. He's going to break he's on pace to break 2,000 yards. This is such a bummer. The Miami Dolphins, the greatest show on turf or surf.
Yeah.
I think if Tyreek Hill goes down, this might be the most significant non-quarterback injury in the league.
Yeah, I would agree. Unless, I could only think of maybe Myles Garrett if something happened with him, because he's kind of the whole Cleveland Browns defense and offense at this point.
That's a really good one.
Responsible for 10 points of theirs against the Colts.
We almost have to take Myles Garrett off the table because he's a one-man team.
Yeah,
so
we'll take him. This is whoever's competing for second place. But yeah,
Kelsey, maybe Travis Kelsey.
Yeah, maybe Kelsey. Tyreek Hill's right there though, and it's funny because you're right. At this time of the year, when a guy doesn't practice, I just sort of assume, they're just kind of giving him a day, or they're just kind of giving him a little time where you don't need to practice, especially if you're a veteran like Tyreek Hill. Or maybe a little gamesmanship with your opponent. Got the Patriots coming up this week if you're the Dolphins, so maybe it's a little of that. But if he's actually dealing with a hip injury, this fundamentally changes the Dolphins' offense. That's
the part that bothered me, the hip injury. If you're going to do a fake injury, it's not your hip. That feels very
tendonitis.
Nobody says, it's clearly some kind of gamesmanship. You don't go hip. That's a really dangerous part. He's averaging a NFL history best 128.9 yards per game. He's not the entire offense, because I think Mike McDaniel's a great coach and he can scheme up some things, but Tyreek Hill puts all the pressure. Who else on that team is really scaring you? I mean, I know there's a lot of talent, and Achane is this wonderful rookie running back. He's out. But Tyreek Hill is the special sauce that makes the Dolphins go. Without a doubt. I mean, and Mostert was limited as well. Yeah. And Jalen Waddle got knocked out of the game last week and then did come back in. But back problems. That's another one you don't want to hear. Trust me. By the way, I got these problems. These are old man problems. The hip and the back. So Tyreek Hill is he's running too fast. Remember? He ran so fast that he knocked the ball out of his own hands with his thigh. Yeah. Like a Roadrunner in a cartoon. If the Patriots somehow win this game and everyone's back on the Patriots bandwagon, I will not like that. I'm going to credit that. I'm going to put a full asterisk on that game. If Tyreek Hill doesn't play and the Dolphins lose to the Patriots, that's why the Dolphins lost.
Listen, of course the Patriots are riding high. Just beat the Bills last week.
Yeah,
Mac Jones looks great. Career resuscitated and revived, and now
they're 2-5. What are you talking about?
Well, and now they could get a wounded Dolphins team.
Yeah,
that, they get to play. So. Man, you knew this wasn't going to be the last we'd hear of Belichick. He wasn't going to go quietly into some 4-win season. That's not going to happen. There was always going to be a little something that he had.
I'll guarantee that they are between 7 and 10 wins. I said that before the season, and if that's where you want Belichick to be, then fine.
10 wins, that's awesome.
Well, they're not going to get 10 wins. I said between 7 and 10 wins, so I think they're going to be closer to 7 wins. If he ends up 7 and 10 or 8 and 9, that is the last we heard from Belichick. How many years are they going to be at 500 before they get sick of this? And they're aspiring to be 500 now.
We'll see what happens. We'll keep our eye on this injury report. There's some other injuries going on in the NFL. I just did a quick back of the envelope here, guys.
Yeah, what do you got?
This is just me, just top of the dome. Top 5 gas station snacks ranked. Gonna go... Can I get a little drum roll maybe? Maybe we can vamp a little while Bokish is here with some headlines, and I'll come back to the gas station snacks in a little bit.
Can I ask, because I turned I heard this in the middle of a sentence. Who suggested combos?
Yo.
Well played.
Thank you.
Well played.
There's all these different varietals. You can have a whole meal of combos.
One of the most underrated snacks that there is.
My guy.
Yeah. Combos are great and perfect for car rides.
You feel like absolute crap afterwards, but man, is it worth it?
Yeah, like if just right now, I don't need combos. If we were driving to San Antonio, we would need combos.
I need industrial size, like a 50-gallon drum.
Maybe a cherry Coke, and away we go.
Oh, that's good.
Ooh, that's kind of like Dr. Pepper. I'm a big
Close
Dr.
enough.
Pepper on the road. Yeah,
all right, we'll do
this is all snacks that you're sort of dehydrated and thirsty, and salty food appeals to you. So I think it's got to be 5 salty foods, right?
Well,
or do you go
not.
sweet?
You're gonna have to see. I'll reveal it in a little bit as Bogish is doing the update. But I will also do a top 5 beverages for a road trip as well.
Okay.
That'll be a separate top 5 list that I'm going to get started on right now while Bogish starts his update.
So just in case you didn't hear, the Phillies lost Game 6 and 7 of the NLCS, letting the Diamondbacks face the Rangers in the World Series instead.
I know, Pete.
And the Sixers may be stuck with James Harden now. The Clippers said to be walking away from trade talks for a while, just as Philly kept Harden home from its season-opening 2-game road trip, which begins tonight in Milwaukee. Harden rejoined the team Tuesday night, apparently thinking he'd be on the plane. In the meantime, the Clips looked good last night without him.
Right block, Westbrook kicks George straight away, catch and shoot 3, Yahtzee! Paul George from distance, 27 for him.
And we're trying a little too hard.
That's a Yahtzee from Carlos Jimenez on Clips Radio, a 27-point opener from Paul George. Kawhi Leonard chipping in with 23, 11 points, 13 assists from Russell Westbrook, all in a 123-111 win over Scoot and the Blazers. Henderson, 11 points and 4 assists in his NBA debut. Victor Wembanyama, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, plenty of foul trouble. His Spurs came up short at home against the Mavs, 126-119. Luka Doncic, 33 points, 13 boards, and 10 assists. Zion Williamson debuting with 12 fourth-quarter points, 23 total in the Pelicans' 111-104 win in Memphis. The Raptors held off the T-Wolves 97-94. The Kings 130-114 winners in Utah, behind 33 from Harrison Barnes. And while Knicks fans complain about the refs, I would suggest playing some defense on Kristaps Porzingis.
White bounce pass for Tatum, straight away against Barrett. Got Porzingis, right side, he's going to take the deep 3. Got it! Dagger by Porzingis with 89 seconds remaining. And the Celtics have scored 9 straight down the stretch to lead by 3.
Sean Grandy, Cedric Maxwell, Celtics Radio. Porzingis with 30, the most ever in a Celtic debut for a 108-104 win at MSG. The Knicks led by 6 with 3:40 to go. We are on Sam Darnold watch in Santa Clara, another one of these late arriving NFL injuries. Darnold may need to play Sunday against the Bengals because Brock Purdy finds himself in concussion protocols. No issues during Monday Night Football in Minnesota, but Purdy began feeling badly on the flight home. Bucs QB Baker Mayfield in a little doubt for tonight's game in Buffalo because of a knee injury. And P.J. Walker starts for the Browns against the Seahawks while Deshaun Watson, quote, focuses on rehab. There is no new issue in Watson's shoulder from his short outing last weekend in Indy, but some swelling is limiting his throwing. As expected, Dusty Baker retiring after 2,183 career wins. There's a press conference in Houston today. Meanwhile, Zach Gallen, Nathan Eovaldi, your pitching matchup for Game 1 of the World Series tomorrow night in Texas. Alone on ice last night, the Capitals won a wacky 6-4 game at the Devils. Washington led 3-0 after 1. Jersey led 4-3 after 2. And then the Caps scored 3 in the third to get that win. And MLS playoffs began last night. The New York Red Bulls, a 5-2 rout of FC Charlotte. That's a wild card game. They get to play top-seeded FC Cincinnati now in a best-of-3 series that begins over the weekend. Snack Lady, back to you.
Okay. Do you guys want snacks first or top 5 drinks first? Gas station snacks or gas station
I'm very
drinks?
intrigued by this beverage.
You want the beverages
list.
first?
I'm really, yes.
How do we feel about that? All right.
Sure.
I like it. Yes.
Pete's found a drum roll for me. Back of the envelope. This is your top 5 road trip beverages.
It
Number
is.
5, vodka. I'm just kidding. Not vodka.
Oh.
Stay away from that.
Number 4.
All right, Stan.
Number 5.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Number 5, Mountain Dew. You need something to stay awake.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, do I
Good
get the drum roll every time? How about just for number 1? Number 5, Mountain Dew. Number 4, Peach Snapple.
Okay.
Number 3, Dr. Pepper / Cherry Coke. Number 2, regular Coke. And number 1, I'll take the drum roll. Number 1 road trip beverage is coffee. So
Oh,
there you
okay.
go. Mountain Dew, Peach Snapple, Dr. Pepper, regular Coke, number 1, coffee.
Yeah. By the way, it's a very similar list, except for number 1 of things you want when you are smoking something, too.
Well, this is all going to overlap.
But yeah, peach snapple.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. I feel like you kind of have to take coffee out of that list. Coffee's just survival. Those
What do you
drinks are
think
more
Mountain
like
Dew
craving.
is? Mountain Dew is also survival.
Yeah. I think you're wasting a spot with Peach Snapple, but that's just for me. It's all
Oh,
coffee.
really?
Yeah. Then whatever. It's not top 5.
There's no tea that you would like?
I think there's a variety of coffees. You want to go like crazy over the top, like flavored coffee with like, that's fine too, hot, iced. But yeah, no thanks on iced tea.
Solid list. I would have put Gatorade on there, though.
Gatorade.
You got to hydrate.
Yeah.
Sure. Lemon lime Gatorade should have also been mentioned.
Definitely.
Okay, very good. Now do you want to do gas station snacks?
Yes, I want to hear it.
Here we go. Top 5 gas station snacks as determined by me. Number 5 on the list, Takis. Anyone?
Crickets?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. You know,
Really?
they're like the chips.
You do. You've seen them. They're in every store now.
Takis. Takis? No?
Takis. Hold on. Let me look this
Okay.
up. They sound delicious.
It's
Seen
good.
them.
They're spicy.
This is the first time I've ever seen this before.
Get out of here.
I've
Okay.
never seen this before.
Man, all right. Number 4, Cool Ranch Doritos.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3, that's where I give you your beef jerky.
Yes.
Number 2, Snickers bar. Number 1, combos. Oh, I blew it. I didn't even wait. Combos. Number 1. Number 5, Takis. 4, Cool Ranch Doritos. 3, beef jerky. 2, Snickers. 1, combos.
Yeah, I'm a Dr. Pepper beef jerky guy. Those all sound delicious. I don't know Takis, but they look amazing. So tell me more about these Takis.
I can't believe you guys don't know these. They're kind of sweeping the nation.
Oh, they're like
Not
a
gotten
newer thing.
gas lately.
Aren't they the Eat One challenge that somebody passed away and like they have to have like a warning label now on like they
they're
sell,
spicy?
They sell one super spicy chip in
Yeah.
a box and it's like one of those eating things.
Oh, is this a whole new kind of snack? This is not like
Yeah,
an
it's
old
called
thing
chips.
that have been around.
They're called spicy chips, is what they are, and they're rolled up.
Yeah.
It's like a cone.
They're
kind of.
literally in every store now. I can't believe you guys ever. I never had them, but I know that they exist, and my
Okay.
kids think they're great because they're everywhere.
So
Wow.
the first time I ever had them, do you remember what was the NFL player's name? Snacks Harrison. Do you guys remember
Yeah.
Snacks Harrison?
Yeah, Jet. Yeah.
He was a Jet, but he was a
And
couple
Giant,
of them.
too.
Giants, and he was kind of this big personality, and he was a huge guy, obviously with a nickname like Snacks, and he was a defensive lineman. And he came to Sports Illustrated, and we made his favorite burger, and he put Takis on him. And so we all ate the Takis on the burger. I'm telling you, you got to trust a fat guy when it comes to this kind of food. He knew what he was talking about. He blew us away with the Takis on the burger.
A little crunch and a little burger. That sounds amazing.
Like, this guy knows how to eat. He's like 350 pounds.
Yeah, it's like an upgrade from like the potato chip on like the deli sandwich. Like
Yes.
go Takis on a burger. That's like, yeah.
I'm like, this guy's put some thought into this. Thank you.
He's done a lot of research.
A lot of research, market research, and a lot of trial and error.
What's now, Maggie? Are you supposed to get spicy Takis when you're on the road?
They're all pretty spicy,
all right,
but not like the ones that's going to send somebody to the hospital.
Yeah.
I see on March 21st, Takis announced its first ever non-spicy flavor. Have you tried that? Is it good?
No.
Oh.
I mean,
it's called Intense Nacho, and it literally says non-spicy on the bag.
But
seems
intense.
kind of lame.
I worry about one issue, though. If it's spicy, then you have to drink a ton, and you've pulled over on a long trip at the gas station. If you have a lot of soda, then you're going to have to pull over again. So do you guys think about that when you're on road trips? Like, what am I drinking here?
Yeah, I probably should have thought about that. The other part is, this is why you eat something really spicy. You're not just going to inhale the bag. It's going to last a little bit.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I'm not doing it. I don't like spicy foods. We know this because I had to do the spicy challenge.
Yeah.
Spicy I'm not surprised I don't know about these. I would never go for the spicy chip. I didn't even know that was a thing you could do.
I think I also should have put in salt and vinegar chips as a also ran.
I wish there was a candy option. I feel like you had Snickers with chocolate, but like
but snack is a snack. Whatever snack means to you.
Yeah.
So you can put anything on that list.
Of course, yeah. Swedish Fish, Sour Patch Kids, whatever.
Enchiladas.
Big into the skit.
Enchiladas. A T-bone steak with
that
mashed
sounds like a
potatoes.
Snacks Harrison snack there. Enchiladas and T-bone steaks.
Filet mignon as you're driving up I-95.
There you go. Just rip it apart eat it with your bare hands. 855-212-4CBS. Thank you, Bogish. 855-212-4227. Okay, so you got my top 5 gas station snacks and gas station drinks. You notice I didn't put water on there. Probably.
I think that's implied. I don't think you need to give up a spot for water.
I got the hand wave from Bogish. Water.
Yeah, it's by default. It's just in the car.
Yeah,
It's only 70% of your body.
You don't need to use one of those valuable spots for water.
Yes, I'd much rather Mountain Dew than water anyway. Coming up, what the heck is going on in Cleveland? We'll get to that. Plus, the one quarterback under the most pressure heading into this slate of NFL games. All that happens next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, you can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone all season long. You can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. So last segment, Maggie ranked her top 5 gas station foods and drinks.
Yeah.
I was thinking about one thing. There's an issue with beef jerky, which is my favorite.
Yeah, that's number 3 on my list of snacks, sandwiched in between Cool Ranch Doritos at 4 and Snickers at 2.
Have you guys noticed, I don't know if you are beef jerky eaters, you could go into a gas station and a bag is like, buy a bag of Tillamook or whatever brand beef jerky, it's $19.99. It's inflation has hit beef jerky in a terrible way.
Why?
Because it's delicious. But you can get a really high-end, really tender, great beef jerky. They make you pay through the gills for it.
I did not know it was that expensive.
Oh, it's crazy. So you have to get the cheaper brand that tastes like rubber.
This sounds like this is a personal struggle that you've had to do.
Where does Slim Jim rank in the, I guess, in the beef jerky? Like, is it
OG? You know, it's like, I think it's probably, it's like got everyone's respect, but I feel like we've kind of evolved past a Slim Jim.
It's not even really technically beef jerky. It's sort of its own category, isn't it?
Okay. Because I wasn't a fan of Slim Jim, so I never really got into the beef jerky.
I'm surprised the Macho Man Randy Savage
That's why I wanted to try it. When I was a
you.
kid, I was like, the Macho Man eats Slim Jim, so therefore I got to eat Slim Jim, and I was very disappointed when I tried it.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I still think that way about Slim Jims. I see a Slim Jim in a gas station, I'm thinking of Randy Savage as well. I think we all are.
It's so funny.
Greatest ad campaign ever.
I mean, when did Randy Savage just passed away? How long ago? I mean, it's amazing you still associate that brand. I don't even know if they ever had another spokesperson since.
Neither should they. I watched a hour-and-a-half documentary on Randy Savage like 2 months ago. I'm still obsessed with everything. I mean, they partied. Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage, the degree to which they partied out of the ring was like you've never seen before.
Roddy Piper, too.
Yeah. All of them had a good time, and then and the same story with every wrestler.
It's always the same arc.
Yeah.
It's like they live hard, they live hard, party hard, and
injuries
then
like crazy.
Die young, which is sad. Wait, you guys are big wrestling fans. Do these guys party like that anymore? I've interviewed a few guys. I've been lucky to interview like Roman Reigns and John Cena. They do not seem like they're party animals.
I feel like it's not the same as it used to be with a lot of things. I feel like hitting the gym a lot more. These athletes are, and I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on the body,
like flexibility too, that kind of thing.
And I feel like not a lot. They probably party, but not as much as those guys did. The Iron Sheik did, or whatever.
I'm going to be honest. I've never heard of a more busy person than Chris Jericho. This dude has got like a band, a podcast. He's wrestling. Like, do you have time to go out and get totally blitzed?
Well,
I don't know.
I think it was part of being on the road. It's like any job where you travel 300 days a year, you're prone to that kind of thing. NFL scouts famously have a problem where a lot of them drink because they're out on the. What else are you going to do when you're in Omaha and you're not from there?
How about compare some combos with a Dr. Pepper and just high on life?
By the way, have you guys ever been to a Buc-ee's? Do you guys know what Buc-ee's are?
You've told me about Buc-ee's. We were in Houston.
It's a super convenience store. It's really famous now in Texas. They have like a deli counter of beef jerkies. They have like 200 varieties of beef jerky, and it's really popular. That is beef jerky heaven. Let's go on a field trip. When we go to San Antonio, they have Buc-ee's there.
I tried to go when we were in Houston for the Final Four, and we ended up having a pre-tape with like Jim Boeheim or something, and it totally blew my chance to go to Buc-ee's. It
is a gas station. All those foods you mentioned, they have 700 varieties of each one. It is heaven. People go on road trips just to go to Buc-ee's.
Is it like the Wawa of Texas?
It's like Wawa on steroids.
By the way,
better than Wawa?
Overrated.
No, nothing's better than Wawa.
Yes, Wawa is overrated. Let's go to
overrated. How? Like because it's the greatest store in the world.
Sandwiches are just sandwiches, and that coffee is just coffee. Let's go to Daniel, who's in Virginia, has a thought for Perloff. Good morning, Daniel. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic.
Good. Listen, don't call in often, but Perloff was casting some dispersions on my Texas Rangers yesterday, saying they bought their way into the championship. So I wanted to clear that up, a little misinformation, clear up time, and then maybe offer a challenge to Perloff if I can.
Okay.
Wait, Daniel, real quick. I wasn't necessarily saying that is a perception that is out there in the press, and that fans are saying, "Oh, Texas bought that." But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let me clear it up for the sports media in general. Then, I just went through because I had to do my research first. Of the 26 men on the Texas Rangers roster, 12 of them are homegrown talent. So that's 40% of the roster of Perloff's Philadelphia Phillies. There's the 40-man roster only has 13 such guys. 9 of them are bullpen pitchers.
Yeah.
So,
well, the Phillies definitely bought their team. Yeah, the Phillies definitely bought their team. Dave Dombrowski's their GM. I don't know if he knows any other way. That's a deep cut there on a baseball general managers. What's your challenge for Perloff, Daniel?
Well, see, here's the challenge with the perception being that the Rangers bought their way in. Of those 12 guys, 9 of them have made a pretty significant impact on the championship series and the postseason. I think if Perloff can name 6 of the 12 Texas homegrown talent, then, and Perloff can remain an Arizona Diamondbacks fan for the series. If not, he has to wear Texas Rangers gear for the series.
Wait, Daniel, are you going to send me some Texas Rangers gear? Because I don't know if I can even buy that in New York.
That's tough. I've got a hat that I'm willing to let go of, but if you
that's a hard no on naming.
Used hat.
That's a hard no on naming 6 Rangers. It's a hard no. I might throw in a New York Ranger on that one.
We're talking next year's Rookie of the Year. We're talking the guy that hit 20 RBIs in one postseason already. We're talking.
Well, let's be fair though. You're talking about and Daniel, I appreciate it, but if you're looking at like. The starting 9. I mean, how many you have? 3 of them are homegrown Texas Rangers, right?
6 of them, Maggie.
Is it 6? I'm looking at 9 here. You got Marcus Semien, right?
Yeah, he's not homegrown.
Right. Corey Seager, not homegrown.
Not homegrown.
Adolis Garcia, not homegrown.
No, he's homegrown. Well, okay, I guess we need to define homegrown.
Yeah.
I thought
Adolis Garcia played 8 games for the Cardinals before he came over to us 3 years ago.
Okay, but
that feels pretty homegrown.
I get it. This is like splitting hairs here, but he was with a different team. Okay.
So homegrown, if we say homegrown, is you've played more with the Rangers than anyone else.
No, I don't know.
You know,
okay, that's the line I use even for the Phillies. If we're not doing that, Phillies got like 5.
Then you got Nathan Lau, right, from Tampa Bay originally.
Right, he played 2 years in Tampa Bay.
Then you got Mitch Garver, who's from Minnesota, and then you got Jonah Heim from Baltimore. So you got 3.
Jonah Heim never played in Baltimore. He was a minor leaguer. All of his professional career has been in Texas.
You know, I'm going to agree with Daniel. I think when I say bought a team means you pay a big free agent contract to those guys, like a lot of Phillies players did. So I will give Daniel. I think we should define homegrown as that. I'm actually on board here.
Well, in your whole your top 4 starting guys, who it would be Jacob deGrom would be in there too. Jordan Montgomery, Nathan Eovaldi, Max Scherzer, Andrew Heaney. None of those guys are homegrown.
That's a good point, Maggie.
Right.
Maggie, she's got you there.
Dane Dunning came in big. Dane Dunning and Martin Perez, those are big guys that were homegrown.
I think Dane Dunning started in D.C., though. I thought he was a national.
Dane Dunning's full career was in Texas. He came over in a trade as a minor leaguer, but I'm pretty sure, and I'd have to go back and check. He might have had 1 year.
You know what's so interesting,
close.
Daniel? This is a great topic, and thank you for the call. Perloff clearly cannot name 6 homegrown Rangers, so I don't think you have anything to worry about there. But good luck to your Rangers.
I think you guys made up some of those names. Are those all real people?
They're all real. But here's the thing, right? We have Curtis Granderson, who's going to be joining us later on in the show, and he's somebody who played for a lot of different teams. So I'd be curious to know his definition of homegrown.
Sure.
Is it just Daniels that if you play the most games with somebody, that means you're homegrown? I don't know. I don't know if I can get there. I think it's who you started your career with and who originally either drafted you or offered you a contract.
I don't think it's really about the homegrown. I think it's about how much you're paying for guys from the outside. Obviously, Corey Seager and the pitchers are huge acquisitions.
Yeah, Marcus Semien.
And Texas is a top 10 payroll. They're number 9.
Right.
So it's not the worst homegrown. I mean, it's not the worst buying a team situation. But, this all started because the Astros fans, it wasn't the media. The Astros fans were going crazy on social media saying Texas bought this away from them. I think it's because of the high-profile guys.
Well, also, the Astros were in a unique position, not so unique anymore, where they had a strategy of losing 100 games for multiple seasons to be able to get all these homegrown guys. It's not, and not every team wants to do something like that. Although the Rangers just came off of losing 100 games a couple years ago.
And even back in the day, homegrown, like the Yankees obviously had that homegrown team, but the fact that you could afford to keep a lot of those guys around is a function of how high your payroll is as well. So it's not just being a great scout. It's being able to pay the guys and keep them around, because how many great players have gone through there?
Oakland A's.
Yeah, the Oakland A's, but they can't pay them. So obviously money has something to do with here. Listen, I am not taking a strong stance for or against the Texas Rangers. I am willing to wear anything that anyone wants to send in. I do like the Diamondbacks hats, though. I think they're kind of cool.
Send those in. We'll wear those.
Bilotti, you're all about the Diamondbacks?
No, the Phillies did something just so courageous, and that's opened their home to the Diamondbacks for 2 games.
Oh, you've just been dying to get a line in here.
It's just been, and I feel very happy for the Arizona fans. I think they got a nice little gift in the last couple of games.
It was improbable.
Pete,
never saw it coming.
Pete, you missed the party yesterday.
I'm still in mourning. I don't know about you.
The world's foremost Phillies fan after a week. No, we did it. We successfully jinxed Perloff's Phillies, and so you're welcome, Diamondbacks fans.
I'm going to wear a Mitch Garver hat. Mitch Garver? You guys totally making names out of nowhere.
He's real. 855-212-4CBS. Hits bombs. Coming up. Okay, what the heck is going on in Cleveland? We're going to get to the bottom of that. Deshaun Watson, all this stuff is getting a little murky around his shoulder. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
What the heck is going on in Cleveland with the Browns? Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. Perloff, you know, there's like a famous T-shirt that exists that has like all the list of the Browns' failed quarterbacks.
No, I've not seen that one.
Yeah.
How do you fit all that on a T-shirt?
I think it's two sides. You know, I think it's double-sided, and it's like Colt McCoy, Brandon Whedon, Jason Campbell, Brian Hoyer, Josh McCown, Cody Kessler, Deshaun Kaiser, and just like it's this laundry list of all of the failed quarterbacks from the Cleveland Browns going back, over a decade. Just add Deshaun Watson's name to the list now. And this one has a lot of levels to it, and it will definitely be the most painful of all of those quarterbacks who have not panned out for the Browns. So Deshaun's hurt now. Clearly, he's hurt. He's not going to play against the Seattle Seahawks, right?
Right.
So the mystery around this shoulder injury is one that this is the first level here, because there's several levels to what's going on in my eyes. The first level is Deshaun is hurt. And the messaging to not just the media and the fans, but also the team, I think has been off a bit. You've heard earlier in the season when Deshaun tried to give it a go against the Ravens and then couldn't throw the ball and drive the ball in pregame warmups, and then they went to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the rookie, and he got absolutely creamed. There was a quote that came out after that teammates were aggravated because they thought that Deshaun was playing, that they were under the impression that Deshaun was going to play, and the fact that he didn't left them aggravated. Right?
Wait, a player said that?
There were players, unnamed players, who said that to a reporter.
Unnamed players.
It was
okay.
Jason Lloyd in The Athletic who had that report. So there are levels here. The first is that there's been mystery around the shoulder injury. And how bad is it? How bad did it get re-injured against the Colts? Why are they calling it day-to-day if it's actually something bigger? And how much is Deshaun going to have to manage this throughout the year? Then there's the second layer of this, which is Deshaun hasn't been playing well. And that's going back to last year when he finally got on the field after the suspension. And now this year, although I guess you could blame it on the injury, he has not looked like the quarterback that we saw in Houston.
Right. I mean, obviously, early in the season, he was starting to get it going. It's starting to roll. And then before the injury, he had like one of the best games.
But this is not what you were expecting when you trade all those first-round picks and you give them all this money. So the first level is that what's going on with the shoulder now, this and the messaging and all the mystery around it. The second level is that he really wasn't playing all that well. And then the third level to this is that this is the guy who the Browns really stuck their neck out for. I mean, you cannot have the Deshaun Watson conversation without having the bigger conversation. It's always going to be part of it, which is this guy was being accused by 20 different people of conduct that the NFL's investigation called egregious and predatory, okay? And they traded for him and traded a king's ransom and then gave him the $230 million guaranteed. With that comes an expectation that you are going to be the best player on the team, or you're going to lead the team. And this is a team now that's being led by defense in the running game. And they're good enough to be a playoff team. They're 4-2 right now, and yet nothing with Deshaun has gone as they'd hoped.
Well, I mean, let's be one thing is clear though. Against Tennessee, he had a game where he was 27 for 33, 289, 2 touchdowns. Like they were starting to figure it out.
Okay,
it looked
that's
amazing.
One game.
Yeah, then he got hurt.
But that's one game out of how many has he played?
Well,
10?
so he's clear.
11?
He was rounding back into shape, and I think everyone in Cleveland got so excited that he was raising the bar. Of course, we now know that Tennessee was probably not a very good team, but Deshaun looked perfect in that game, and the whole thing was clicking, even with no Nick Chubb. And he's obviously hurt. You saw in Indianapolis, he had 5 passes, and all of them looked off. So I think the scary thing here is it's a shoulder injury, which is you just don't know. You could see in the 5 passes he threw, it's not there. He can't drive the ball. There's no zip. It's uncomfortable. I think if it was any other quarterback who had a shoulder injury, we would be much more lenient. But I do, and I understand the reasons. I think there's a lot of skepticism for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
One, Deshaun, because of his background, people do not trust this guy.
Yeah.
And second, I think the Browns, we don't trust them because of years of, and I think you're hinting at that, like what's going on with the Browns. They're not clear communicators. It doesn't feel like they're ever on the same page with their players and their coaches. So I totally understand the skepticism. But if this was a functional team and a quarterback without a riddled past who had a shoulder injury, wouldn't we be much more lenient and say, well, I understand so-and-so just needs time to heal?
Well, I think so, but that's assuming a lot, and we've seen none of that. Like, yes, if this was a functional team and this was a quarterback who had proven a lot in the league and didn't have these other things surrounding him, then yeah, maybe they would get the benefit of the doubt. But none of that has happened. It has been like mixed messaging. You know, he is getting paid more than anybody, which ultimately raises the bar on anyone. And he also has all this stuff in his background. So it's like the perfect storm. Like, why did we ever think this was going to work? You know, the Browns can't draft a quarterback, although Baker Mayfield, we'll see what he does tonight. But the Browns have had trouble finding their franchise quarterback. So what do? They change it up and they throw all the money in the world and all the draft picks thinking they were going to solve this problem. And it's so far from solved. Like, this is just another quarterback that's going to go in those graveyard of quarterbacks that happened in Cleveland.
I think it's too early. I understand what you're talking about. Yeah. I just think it's way too early because we have seen games where Deshaun has it going, and that quarterback is still there somewhere, or could be still there somewhere. They're 4-2, right? And he's week to week. What if he gets healthy by the second half of the season? I know that's hard to do with his shoulder, and they're in great play. As you mentioned, they have a great defense. This guy could lead them to the playoffs.
Listen,
that's very realistic, and I know he's not really leading them. It's really going to be the defense.
Sure.
But if the Browns get to the playoffs, then I think they're actually quite satisfied with the way things worked out this season. Even though the money is crazy, they didn't pay that money because they wanted to pay $230 million. Because 5 other teams were knocking at the door offering a boatload of money to Deshaun Watson, so they had to pay it. They weren't the only ones to pick this formula. So I think if they get a playoff berth, I just don't think this criticism is going to remain.
Well, we'll see, because you're right. Like, it's also now a guy with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's like maybe the worst thing for a quarterback.
Definitely.
I mean, maybe Aaron Rodgers' Achilles is probably pretty bad, but like that's the last thing you want. And so is there a tear in there? What's going to happen? Like, what would make me think that this isn't just another lost season with Deshaun? So that's 2 now. The first
I
one
understand
with the
that.
11-game suspension, and now this one, which is, teetering.
But do you kill a guy for getting hurt?
It's not about that. I think it's no, of course not, right? You don't kill a guy for getting hurt. Absolutely not. However, it's just, again, there's levels to this. So the organization gets criticism and Deshaun gets criticism. Again, not for getting hurt necessarily, unless you think he is not like protecting himself, taking care of himself, unless you think a guy's putting himself in harm's way. I don't necessarily get that view with Deshaun. But he hasn't looked good even when he was healthy outside of, you're right, that Tennessee game, which on the other side, Ryan Tannehill was abysmal in that game.
Yeah.
There was nothing on the other side for Tennessee. Who scored 3 points in that game.
I think there are enough signs to show that Deshaun Watson, if he was healthy, could have some success here. It's a tough division, so he's always going to face certain challenges. I understand what you're saying. There's reason to be skeptical, and it does seem like there's different communication coming from the team and the quarterback, which is always the first sign of things are not going well here.
Yep.
The team seems to be sending a message saying, hey, he's healthy, and he's saying I'm not healthy. Never a good sign.
Never a good sign.
But I got to tell you, I almost have as much doubt about the Browns as I do about Deshaun Watson, because I don't know what do we think has changed over the last 10 years. There's a reason there's such a long list of quarterbacks on that shirt. Not all those quarterbacks were as bad as I think they played. I think there's some organizational dysfunction as well.
No doubt. And so think about it, right? So you have the organizational dysfunction that's always kind of existed with the Browns, right? Some teams just can't get out of their own way. And now you have a guy who also doesn't have the trust of the fan base or anyone, quite frankly, right? You have people in the media, former football players, calling him out for saying, you've been cleared. This was Brady Quinn, LeVar Arrington on their show recently. You're saying you've been cleared by medical doctors. We're so conditioned now in this play at all costs NFL that if you're cleared, you're playing. And that hasn't been the case, but the Browns kind of made it seem like it was up to Deshaun and he chose not to play. Then they had to walk that back. My question is, there's this dysfunction. And to be fair, they're winning, so they're 4-2. But, like, who do you think has the power in this organization now? It's Deshaun. Like, who do you think would ultimately pay the price if this season goes off the rails? It's going to be the coaching staff. Like, we talked about this going into the season. We thought Stefanski was on the hot seat. And other coaches, maybe not Jim Schwartz. He seems to be doing a good job with the defense. But, coach gets fired. You never know what's going to happen. Like, Deshaun is the guy who nobody trusts, and he's the guy with the most power in the organization because they gave him $230 million guaranteed.
That's true, but Deshaun, a 70% Deshaun is not going to help Kevin Stefanski either. So if he says, I don't feel confident throwing this ball, they're going to get killed out there. You saw Deshaun against the Colts, who was 1 for 5.
Yeah, he looked bad.
Did they get better when P.J. Walker came on the field?
Well, P.J. Walker's completed like 50% of his passes. It's like, I think the defense probably takes on, maybe they have this mentality all the time, where they realize, like, we've got to win the game for us.
But I think they had to get Deshaun off the field.
Well, he also may have had a concussion. They were evaluating him for that.
Yeah, I didn't think that was such a controversy. That's the other thing. That was clearly a concussion. I don't know how he cleared in-game for that. His head did a double bounce off the field. So I was surprised that people were mad that Deshaun didn't go back in or something, or criticizing the team for not putting him back in. P.J. Walker, you're right. He's not lighting up the air.
No.
But he made enough plays to keep certain drives alive to keep Cleveland in that game. They had to go with him. And honestly, this week, I think P.J. Walker is better than a 70% Deshaun, because Deshaun in those passes, he was throwing, one landed 5 yards short. You can't have a quarterback who's not confident. That's a key to playing quarterback.
I get it, but again, like, we've been conditioned, I think, and this does no service to Deshaun, but we've been conditioned where guys playing 70%, guys playing banged up, guys playing with broken ribs and bad ankles and all that stuff. The starter, especially if you think they're a high-level starter, is still a better, still your better shot than a backup quarterback.
That's at every position except quarterback. The whole movement in the NFL is protect the quarterback, protect the quarterback, protect the quarterback.
Yeah.
We don't want them at all injured. I don't know. You maybe want your middle linebacker to get it out. Do you want your quarterback with a shoulder problem to go out there and possibly make it worse? If you're a Browns fan, do you really want to see Deshaun out there right now? Or would you say, we invested so much in this guy, let's make sure he's 100% so he doesn't tear up that whole shoulder?
Well, then probably put him on IR. Like, see, that's the double thing here, where if you're that worried about him and about whether or not he can play, why was he out there to begin with?
No, it's a good point.
Like, why did he even start against the Colts if he's really that compromised? I understand trying to give it a go, trying to gut it out, I guess. But if you really are protecting him, he shouldn't have been anywhere near that game.
Well, there's this thought out there that you can look good in warm-up, but when the pass rush is coming after you and you have to contort your body to make a pass, then you're like, oh, wow, this is way worse than I thought. That's the thinking. I'm not saying that's definitely true.
Let's call it what it was on those first 2 drives. It seemed like he was seeing the rush before the rush even got there.
No, right. It's in his head. Right. Yes. The confidence is not there. And listen, this is not a good situation. I'm not trying to say this is perfect. This is all bad. Everything you said, I totally agree with. Deshaun has the power. Stefanski has no power there. But that being said, it's just such a tricky spot, because if he goes out there and makes that little micro tear, quote unquote micro tear, worse, then this $230 million investment is paying off even less, because shoulder surgery, we might not see him till week 5. So I get in there, and if it's my star quarterback, I'm rehabbing him till he's really confident he's not going to get hurt again.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Is this Deshaun Watson era, I guess, going to end just like all the other ones in Cleveland? Disappointing quarterback play. And this one's going to be the most painful.
Well, here's the thing. He's not going anywhere. So we're not anywhere near the end. All those other guys they could cut, they can't do anything about Deshaun.
You're totally right. They are backed into a corner with this one. But think about it. Shoulder injury doesn't magically get better. So at some point, he's probably going to need some kind of surgery or something. I'm speculating now, obviously, wildly. Yeah. But if he does need a surgery, then you're talking about a rehab that's going to take a while to build the strength back up and more missed time.
But lots of quarterbacks have come back from shoulder surgery. True. It might be, I have no idea, but you get the sense that this season, like, would you be shocked if we came in one day and they announced Deshaun Watson's getting shoulder surgery?
I would not be shocked by that.
So then you get next year. That's the thing. He's going to have next year to be good again as well.
I know, but you have such a good defense right now. It feels like it would be a waste of an opportunity. You're sitting at second place right now in the AFC North. You got the luxury in the division of, slow start by the Bengals again. You have an opportunity here, and you got this all-time great defense, and it could be a waste. 855-212-4CBS. It might just not be able to realize its full potential. 855-212-4227.
You get a healthy Deshaun back next year. Let's hope Nick Chubb comes back next year and is better.
Yep. And
you have Myles Garrett. It's probably not happening this year anyway. But you got 3 years of this Deshaun experiment. It's unlike Derek Anderson and Brady Quinn and Brandon Whedon. Those guys lasted 2 years. So I do think it's a little premature to say this will never work because they have all the time in the world to figure this out.
It will always be something.
You think so? You think so?
Be something.
Man, it's hard to argue against that because there is 75 years of history working against the Browns.
Something. It's always something with this franchise. 855-212-4CBS. This one they really made their bed with Deshaun. 855-212-4227. Let us know what you think. Give us a call. We also have our top 5 list gas station snacks and beverages, which you can find right now on Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. We're a versatile show. We go from quarterback injuries to Cool Ranch Doritos in the drop of a hat. It's that kind of versatility I think really sets us apart. 855-212-4227. Coming up, the one NFL team we may have overestimated. Get to that. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Preview is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. My Bills host the Tampa Bay Bucks. Me and Bogish think the Bucks have a chance to stun the Bills, while Perloff realizes the Bucks are indeed coached by Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield is the quarterback. So Buffalo, a slight 8.5-point favorite on FanDuel. Well written, Pete Pilati.
Yeah, an injured Baker Mayfield, and you saw it at the end of the Atlanta game. He can't move. Oh my gosh, the Bills front line is going to feed on that dude tonight. I predict it's much like the Raiders game. It is going to be Bills always when they're 10-point favorites. They always blow out the other team. It's a blowout tonight.
Okay, well they were just like 8.5 and 9.5. They were 8.5-point favorites against New England and lost. They were 14.5-point favorites, I believe, was the final spread against the Giants, and it took a blessing of a no call from the Bills side of things to win that game. I'm not excited going into this one. You want to know why? Because there's like a 45% chance that maybe the Bills get themselves back on track in this game and start to look like the team that is a competent, functional offense and the defense can hold up despite the injuries. And then there's another chance that they look terrible again. And then you know what the storyline is going to be tomorrow. More fraudulent Super Bowl team, never capitalized on the window, can't win like this, coach on the hot seat. Like they turn in another bad game. It's going to be people pouring even more dirt on the Bills than they already are.
I'm just curious, though. How is Tampa Bay going to move the ball? They can't run the ball. Mike Evans has given up on football. Baker well, actually, he's okay. He's playing to be – they might highlight him so they can trade him. I'm telling you, Baker can't move at all right now. This is setting up to be real bad for the Bucs. Just not this game. This whole season is you can see it getting off the rails already.
I know, but where Baker is in his career right now, it's not like, oh, he's the guy who's got to be Superman for this team to win. Like they don't feature Baker like that. They should be able to find a way to win without him.
They can't.
Not without him, but like without him having to be perfect.
What's the other option? How else are they going to win this game?
Run the ball.
I think the Bucs are also they might be getting into a seller mentality. So who knows if these guys are even going to be there for long. If the Bills, you're right. If the Bills can't win this game, then it's a real crisis.
It's beyond panic time.
Tampa Bay on a short week coming up to Buffalo, that would be completely inexcusable.
Although I think it's supposed to be unseasonably warm today. I mean, it's 80 degrees in New York City today. Just about. Can we check the weather in Buffalo?
I think we need a mini show bet on this game. And since you're so worried they're going to lose, I will take the money line here.
How about this? Why don't you take the spread?
No, because you're worried they're going to lose the game.
I am worried they're going to lose.
See, I think this is
I would take the 8.5.
This is the one game on your schedule you do not have to worry about them losing.
That's
the game.
What everyone said about the Giants, and that almost was Disasterville. It was Disasterville, even though they narrowly won.
I'm telling you, this is the one. This one you don't even have to watch tonight. You can go to bed early. You can totally relax, Maggie.
I was thinking about not watching. Is that possible?
This is not the threat of a game.
Maggie, he's doing it to you.
Yeah,
he's
I
No,
know.
I'm not jinxing. Honestly, I bet on the Bucs last week, and they got so lucky to stay in the game with Atlanta, who's also terrible. I tell you, this is not short week. Tampa Bay and Buffalo. Why is it only 8.5? That is an insult to the Bills.
No, this is going to be I'm thinking about not watching. It's my job to watch along with the fandom. If I was not a fan of the Bills, I'd really think about not watching. Or if I was not doing this for a living, I would think about not watching.
By the way, for weather tonight, around kickoff, it should be 66 degrees and cloudy.
Dude, that's perfect condition.
Oh, Tampa should be fine in that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not just the weather. They have to travel up to Buffalo. It's a rabid home crowd.
Travel to Buffalo. It's like a
bus?
3-hour flight. Less. It's a 2.5-hour flight. There's no time zones being changed here. They're not playing this one in Munich.
All right, then we got 5-on-1. Let's set some odds. Who's got the Bucks winning that outright?
I just think
You guys are talking pretty tough about this game.
all right. I mean, I'm worried. I'm extremely worried. They've played like dog crap the last couple weeks, the Bills.
That is very true. This is the one you can relax.
But this is what we did on Monday. Maggie and I are concerned big picture about the Bills.
Yeah.
And all we said about this game was that it's losable.
Yes.
And you've run with the idea that we think they're going to lose tonight. I don't think they're going to lose tonight. I think it's very possible that they
could
lose tonight.
lose.
Yes.
Yeah, see, I understand what you're saying. I don't think this is really losable. I just can't see the scenario where Tampa Bay pulls this out.
I mean, I couldn't see how I didn't even think the Giants should have gone to Buffalo for that game. They said, you know what? We're beat up. We're going to lose. Let's all save ourselves the time. And the Giants almost won that game.
But some people were like, oh, they got Tyrod Taylor. That's a game changer. I mean, when you upgrade a quarterback significantly, you have to admit, of course, Daniel Jones would have won that game.
Buffalo Bills fan that Tyrod Taylor is a game changer. I don't know. Feels a little unfair.
Okay, there's one thing.
Tyrod is in the Bills Hall of Fame for quarterbacks. Are you crazy?
Are you kidding me? The five of us. One thing we have to agree on, like, you don't want to face Tyrod Taylor. Maggie said it herself.
No.
She did not like that news one bit.
I feel like half the stadium was kind of secretly rooting for him. He's the quarterback who broke the 17-year playoff drought.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody loves
scored
it.
3 points.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm extremely nervous.
I'm not jinxing them like you guys jinx the Phillies. I like the Bills. It's the Mets that I hate, much like the Phillies. They're one of my favorite AFC teams because they're not in the same division, same conference as my team.
You want to know what else is the bummer about the last couple games is they've just been excruciating too. Because against the Jags, obviously the Giants game, and then against the Patriots, well, the Patriots and Jags, they had these like furious comebacks in the last couple minutes to try to tease you like they were actually going to pull the game out, and then they didn't. That's the worst part. I'm living in my own personal hell.
You know,
Let's get to Bogus.
it might even be worse. What if they blow them out and you get false hope again? That's what really crushes a Bills fan.
Great. Awesome. There's a lot of cool things happening with this game. Bogus, what do you got?
I've got Victor Wembanyama, not even the best rookie on the floor in San Antonio last night. That was Derek Lively, 16 points, 10 boards off the Maverick bench. Neither, though, as good as Luka Doncic.
Doncic, one-on-one with Vassell, 5 to shoot, and 4 and 3. Stop and go, steps back for 3. Got it! Oh, yes, indeed! Yes, indeed! Timeout San Antonio, and the Mavericks with their biggest lead of the night with 28.9 seconds to go.
Chuck Cooperstein, Mavs Radio. Luka putting the finishing touches on a 126-119 opening night win in San Antonio and on a 33-point, 13-rebound, 10-assist performance, impressing Greg Popovich.
That was average. What the hell? This is a Hall of Fame performance like he does almost every night. He was great. Kyrie wasn't bad either.
Kyrie had 22, 6 assists. But back to Wemby. He dealt with foul trouble all night, finally scoring 9 points in the fourth to finish with 15.
Toughest things for a player is you get into foul trouble and you never get in a rhythm and you're in and out of the game and that sort of thing. So I thought his maturity showed even at a young age where he came in with the last, 7 minutes and just played. We ran some stuff for him. He executed. Where a lot of guys would have been totally out of it by then.
Checking on the other rookies, Scoot Henderson, 11 points. The Blazers, 123-111 loss. The Clippers, Brandon Miller scored 13 as the Hornets beat the Hawks, 116-110. The Pacers blitzed the Wizards, 143-120 to begin their seasons. 143, the most points in Game 1 in Indy history.
Such a ridiculous score.
Yeah, and it's such a
143 to 120. What was it? 120.
143-120 in a completely nondescript game. Like,
there's like no highlights from this game either. There's so many points.
And no one had an obscenely high scoring game. They just shot 53%. Wizards played no defense, and that's it.
We watch a lot of NBA. I mean, EJ watches a lot. Maggie, you love the NBA. I'm not sure how many Pacers and Wizards I can name. I know they gave Denny Avaja an extension, which I could not believe, but those are two kind of no-name teams. Like, how'd they get to 143?
We got the Obi Toppin debut in Indiana, so Knicks fans are
all two
already complaining about that.
Obi Toppin's in Indiana. First I've heard of this.
Me too. I saw somebody post like a windmill dunk from the preseason. I'm like, when did he stop being a Knick?
You have Mathurin and
who is
what's his name still on the team? The tall guy.
Who's the leading scorer in that game? Was it Corey Kispert? I don't even.
No, it was Bruce Brown had 24.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
Wait, no. Who? Miles Turner, is he still on the Pacers after all these years?
No, he's gone.
He is still on the team.
He's still on the team.
Yeah,
he's been on the trade block for a decade.
They've been trying to trade him forever, but they can't. And he had 11 points last night.
How did Detlef Schrempf play?
He's definitely long retired.
Okay.
There actually was a Rick Smith's reference on the broadcast last night, on the Wemby broadcast, because he's a good free throw shooter. Oh, no, I'm sorry. They were talking about Porzingis was a good free throw shooter, and like other good big men who are free throw shooters, like Rick Smith.
Wow.
It's like, yes.
Spicy.
So that game was 143-120. He had a 19-point lead early fourth quarter, then didn't score for the final 3 minutes, only beat the Pistons 103-102. Jimmy Butler, 19 points and 13 boards. And for the first time since 2000, the Cavs win on the road on opening night, thanks to Donovan Mitchell.
Mitchell out front, unloads a 3-ball. Bullseye! Bullseye! Donovan Mitchell! Mitchell unloads a bomb and buries it. Cavaliers up 114-113.
And that would be the final in Brooklyn. Mitchell scoring 10 of his 27 in that final period. The highlight from Tim Alcorn on Cavs Radio. Before night 2 of this new season, the NBA announcing the All-Star Game returning to the East-West format. No more fantasy draft and no more Elam ending. They'll play 4 full quarters.
Oh, that's dumb. The Elam ending is great. It's the only thing saving that game.
I would agree. East-West I'm fine with. I thought that actually was better in reality than I thought it was going to be, so I would have kept that.
It was great. It's like the first team to score a certain amount of points, not just like waiting out the clock while everyone half-asses defense and just dunks on each other.
Even if it was an improvement, was it enough to get people to watch the All-Star game? Though?
Or compete in it? And the answer still is no.
Yeah, I mean, heaven and earth's got to move before people are going to watch that All-Star game.
But the draft, the All-Star draft became interesting because Giannis picked Damian Lillard, number one, as a sort of precursor to the trade.
Yep.
So maybe the draft and the behind-the-scenes drama was something to care about?
The fact that LeBron kept picking Steph Curry every year.
Yeah, like you could send messages with that draft. I do get it. I remember, I'm old enough to remember when the East-West meant something. Like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, I maybe this might be making it up, but didn't they go at each other and try and win that game badly?
If you ever watch, one thing I've done in the past is I've actually seen people post clips from like a 1992-93 All-Star game.
Yeah.
And the amount of like hard fouls that are played, like they played a real game. Like it wasn't like it was Game 7 in the NBA Finals, but like there was like pride on the line and it was a real basketball game.
But also probably Michael Jordan was involved, who doesn't know the difference between a pickup game and Game 6 of the NBA Finals.
Michael Jordan's whole origin story of I took that personally kind of started with an All-Star game. It started with Isaiah Thomas allegedly getting the All-Stars to freeze him out of the game.
Yep, that's true.
And apparently we've got James Harden pouting because he wasn't an All-Sar last year. So apparently he's the only one that cares about the All-Star game.
He would care about an All-Star game.
That's on brand.
Championships? No thanks.
Sorry, did you guys see the Michael Jordan commercial last night? That was sick.
Was that in France?
Yeah, so Zion Williamson is at a museum dunking the ball in France, and Michael Jordan comes on the scene. That was an amazing commercial.
I think there were also like 20 other NBA and WNBA people in that commercial. It ends up becoming like this big ensemble. But then Michael Jordan walks in.
And everyone's like, whoa, he's here. He still has a lot of swag. He looked cool.
And he definitely walked in. It's like a pickup basketball game in France. So let's just, in a French museum. So let's just expand our minds of what's going on. And then Jordan walks in a suit. Why is he wearing a suit?
But it wasn't just a suit. It was Miami Vice style. He had a T-shirt on, and it
underneath.
Worked.
You might as well push up the sleeves like Don Johnson.
Are these things he couldn't do as an owner that we're going to start seeing more of him?
Oh, that's a good
That's interesting, but I kind of doubt it. He can't appear in a Nike ad as an owner.
I don't like.
I don't know if could he appear with other NBA players?
Right.
Yeah, would that be tampering?
Luka's in this. Jason Tatum's in this. Like,
there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how much he makes every year from Air Jordan?
Was it $50 million?
Something. I think it's more.
I think it's more than that.
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it. Okay. I'd believe any number. You could have said $5 billion. I'd be like, that's squares.
Yeah.
Some much needed good news, by the way, guys, for Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts and that knee issue from Sunday night do not appear on the Eagles injury report, but Tyreek Hill has developed a hip issue since that game. He did not practice with the Dolphins yesterday. 74-year-old Dusty Baker retiring after 3 seasons and 1 world title in Houston. He leads with the 7th most wins all time, the 4th most postseason victories. The Mets reportedly have permission to interview Brewers manager Craig Counsell. The Guardians would like to chat with him as well. Counsell's current deal is expiring. Remaining in Milwaukee is apparently a possibility. And Alex Ovechkin empty net goal capped off the Capitals' 6-4 win in Jersey. And last night were the MLS wildcard games. The New York Red Bulls a 5-2 rout of Charlotte FC. Then Sporting KC advanced past San Jose on PKs. New York and KC now play best of 3s with top-seeded FC Cincinnati and St. Louis City, respectively. Back to you guys.
We are seeing now CBS Sports Radio, the official handle of our show and the station, in the chat. Thank you, Kep. 256.1 million last year is the number.
For Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no wonder he doesn't care about whether he owns the Hornets or not. He's got plenty going well for him.
And that goes back to the beginning, right? Wasn't that the whole thing? Like, they wanted a piece of sales from day one?
Every shoe.
Yeah.
That's what we saw in the movie Air.
Yes.
The Ben Affleck, Matt Damon movie.
But then when he started his own brand, it was probably even a better deal.
Right.
And all those athletes in the commercial, are they just Air Jordan, not Nike? Because there's a split.
Yeah,
you can't be both,
they're
right?
Jordan brand.
Yeah.
So,
and I know Tatum is famously Jordan brand. Is Zion Jordan brand now?
Yes. He's been Jordan brand.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting that the drama in Zion's personal life went away, and now he's in every Nike commercial. Interesting.
Yeah, no, they got that. They got rid of that chick. Somebody quieted that chick.
The NBA has a certain degree of power. Nike's a different thing altogether.
It's true.
If they're going to feature Zion's not going to be in any trouble.
I mean, I think that woman's the first woman to be like banned from Twitter, Elon Musk's Twitter.
I know, like every horrible dictator in the world can be on Twitter, but like this chick had to get off. Yeah.
And then you see Zion with a bunch of French kids doing a 360 at a museum.
Honestly.
Eating croissants.
Yeah. Actually, the Nike execs were just like, don't put out a craft service or any kind of thing. We got to keep Zion healthy.
The sneaker companies have more power than any general manager.
Oh, it's not even close. I think that's one of the issues with the NBA is guys like James Harden make $300 million from Adidas.
Yeah.
He's not going to listen to any team. He's going to be about James Harden. They become sort of sneaker brands in addition to being players. And meanwhile, the NFL, one guy finally gets a guaranteed huge contract, hurts his shoulder. We're mad at him because he's not going out there. NBA players are double dipping in the hundreds of $1 million every day.
It's like, I'll play 40 games if I have to. 855-212-4CBS because Adidas is telling me to. 855-212-4227. Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, we have, the one NFL team we did overestimate. We should get to that in just moments. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break.
I'll go first. Pete.
You stole my heart, you intercepted it. Now you're gone, have to accept it. Did I meet your mom too soon?
Being as a player,
or did I do what I always do? Yeah, we made it to the 50, and then you kissed me. We made it to the 40, a new love story. We made it to the 30, and you did me dirty right then.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Eat the chili. No hands.
What are we waiting for? Take this!
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. So we've got kind of scary situation. You'll see the headline and it will say Brock Purdy's in concussion protocol now after experiencing concussion symptoms on the flight from Minnesota back to San Francisco.
Ooh.
Like, put yourself in those shoes. You're 30,000 feet in the air, and all of a sudden you get concussion symptoms. What's that? Puking, dizziness, blurred vision. So that's weird. But anyway, it's still a possibility that he could play this week. However, Sam Darnold is now being kind of prepped that he could have to take over the responsibilities here. And I think high level, I think we got a little over our skis here on the 49ers and just how potentially perfect this season could play out for them. Mm-hmm. They were so good in the beginning of the year, but there was no chance, Perloff, that they were going to be able to sustain the kind of injury health. First of all, nobody does in the NFL. And secondly, the 49ers definitely don't. So I think we got a little ahead of ourselves when we talked about the 49ers as like, a runaway Super Bowl favorite and just how incredible they were on defense and offense. You knew there was going to be adversity. They're hitting it right now. They've lost 2 in a row, and now Purdy could be out.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you can make the argument last year they suffered injuries and then they pulled off 10 straight wins at the end of the season. So they can find a formula to get hot. Now, this game is kind of funny because the Bengals are desperate. They're 3-3. They got off to a slow start. And the Niners, I don't think they care as much about this game. That sounds, it's out of conference and they're trying to get healthy. They don't have Deebo Samuel. So I'd be nervous about picking the Niners here. But big picture, they have shown, last year they showed they can adjust. Here's where you and I differ in a large way.
What's that?
Sam Darnold can carry this team to some extent. Just because of the way they're set up. They're set up to support the quarterback. So Brock Purdy, even if he can't go, I think that they have Sam Darnold and I believe Brandon Allen as a third string. Those guys can win enough games that this injury does not panic me. And I understand they look bad without Deebo a little bit on Monday night. But I just think that last year they proved they can win with anyone at quarterback, and I still think that formula holds true.
Okay, you're a big Vegas odds guy.
Yeah.
They changed significantly when Purdy, the concussion came out. So they were, a 6.5-point favorite against the Cincinnati Bengals, and then it dropped to 3.5, which is wild. That's a huge swing in gambler parlance.
How are they a 6.5-point favorite over the Bengals?
That's probably before Monday night's game.
I am shocked by that.
So, and I'll disagree with you about not having, that the Bengals might have more of an urgency here than the 49ers. I understand what you're saying. Of course, the Bengals have some ground to make up in the AFC North, but you're the San Francisco 49ers. You've lost 2 in a row. So, yes, you're 5-2, but if you're trying to get home field advantage for the playoffs, you now have the Eagles who are above you and the Detroit Lions who are above you in the standings. This is now based on, they both have twin records, but the Lions are above them now in the standings. So I think this is going to end up being a dogfight here. And, of course, no team wants to have to go on the road. Look what happened last year when the 49ers had to go on the road to Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game. Purdy got hurt.
Absolutely true. The Eagles, though, have a brutal, brutal schedule coming up. So I don't think that story's been written yet. They go to 5-3. They get hot at the end of the year. I mean, we saw it last year. If Purdy or Darnold gets in there, give him 5 games. There's so many weapons, Maggie, that they can eventually find a formula. There's also a rumor Jay Glazer, who's really close to John Lynch, said they might trade for another wide receiver. Last year they traded for McCaffrey. The story has not been written of this 49ers season. They can reload midseason and be very dangerous. I think you're going to need how many wins to get the number 1 seed? Do you think you're going to need more than 13?
I think it's going to be around there, 12, 13.
So I think the Niners, even if they lose this week, can get to 13 wins, 13-4. The Eagles, I think, are not going to get to 13.
And then you have Detroit out there, too, coming off a very humbling loss, obviously, to the Ravens.
Well, now that Minnesota has figured out how to run Brian Flores' defense, I think there's some losses. I don't see a strong favorite in the NFC. I think the Niners can be okay here.
855-2124-CBS, 855-212-4227. So, yes, the 49ers, and we know we have a lot of 49er fans listening. It's early in California right now, but we know they're out there wondering how nervous they might be feeling because here's my thing about Darnold. Watched a lot of Sam Darnold over the years. It's not good.
Yeah, but where was he?
He was in New York and he was in Carolina.
You know who else hasn't been good in New York? Everybody. And Carolina's even worse.
Okay, but there was a lot of that, yes, was on the team, but there was also a lot that was on Darnold. This guy can sail a pass, the easiest pass. I get a little worried. Even if they're not going to ask him to do, be Superman, you still have to be able to execute. And Darnold has a penchant for turnovers, again, has a penchant for sailing balls because in the moment, what does everyone say about Brock Purdy and why he's so good? It's not because he's a super athlete. It's not because his arm strength is elite or anything. It's the processing and the decision-making in the moment. That's something you can't teach, right? Maybe to a certain point, the quarterback either has that or can develop that or they can't. And Sam Darnold's been in the league long enough. I think there's enough evidence he's not great processing.
I think the coach can help him. The coach can make easy reads. If you think your quarterback can't go 3 reads in, then you make sure that there's something that he can do immediately. And Kyle Shanahan's presumably one of the top 2 or 3 play callers here. I'm telling you, if anyone can fix Sam Darnold, it's going to be him. we've seen a lot of guys who just have to get to the right place. Geno Smith comes to mind. Give him a chance. I'm not saying Sam Darnold's going to be a Pro Bowler like Geno Smith.
Right.
I just think the bar is really low for the quality. Just don't run any plays where Sam Darnold's going to be throwing, has to go to the third read 25 yards downfield.
Okay, and you know who's going to love to feast on that? Lou Anarumo and the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I mean, you can't be that one-dimensional and think you're going to beat Cincinnati.
That's why this is a tough game for the Niners. That's why I'm saying, and also they missed Deebo Samuel in a huge way. So McCaffrey's practicing. If I'm them, I might even like give this game up and not play McCaffrey the entire time if things start to go badly. But they're still favored, by the way, and they are at home. So we'll see.
855-212-4CBS. Ramon is in Indianapolis. Hey, Ramon, how you been?
Hey, how you doing, Maggie and Pearl? I appreciate y'all. Good commentary. And Pearl, I'll tell you, you're a consummate fan for your people. I'm just, I guess I'm a little bit of a person who just wants to see different people. And Frisco just gets all this hype every year, and they haven't been to the Super Bowl since. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 1994. Yeah. I mean, they're getting all this hype. Philadelphia at least won one in 17, went last year. I want to see Frisco finally do something. I get tired of Shanahan this, and please don't tell me you got confidence in Sam Darnold. He got ran out of Carolina, who has nothing down there right now. You have to be bad to get run out of Carolina. What about that one, Maggie?
I mean, Ramon, I'm there with you. Just watch. We've all watched a lot of Darnold. Obviously, he was, he was great at USC. He's a good dude too, from all accounts. I mean, he handles losing extremely well, professional, never let it get to him, at least outwardly. I mean, he handles himself like an absolute champ under terrible circumstances. He's clearly mentally tough. It's not about that. It's about the processing the information when he's on the field. I don't know if he's good at that.
Yeah, I just think that was also a function of the Jets. You don't have to be
to Ramon's
Tom Brady.
Point, and the Panthers also were just like, meh.
Well, come on. Did you watch that Panthers team? And Panthers are once again screwing their quarterback by having no talent around him. But Sam Darnold actually had okay stats with the Jets, believe it or not. I mean, he had his second season, it was 19 touchdowns and 13 picks. That's equivalent of what? 45 touchdowns and 4 picks at a normal team.
I was going to say,
where
are you going with that?
My guy Kyle Shanahan's compared Sam Darnold to Steve Young earlier in the preseason.
I think that's not doing Darnold any favors either.
Well, the point was Steve Young was terrible until he got into Bill Walsh's system, and then he figured it out. I'm not saying Sam Darnold's going to become a Pro Bowler. All you need to do is not throw 2 picks and throw for 200 yards, and you're giving San Francisco a chance to win in every game. So if you think he can't throw into coverage or he can't read the field, just don't let him read the field. Just do simple plays.
I'm telling you, then you're making it too easy on the defense.
Man, all of a sudden,
what you're doing.
I desperately want to see Sam Darnold now, just to see this experiment play out. Because Purdy might come back, right?
It's possible. Apparently, he's able to do Brock Purdy. That is able to kind of do these walkthroughs. Yeah. So if you're able to do the walkthrough, would you also be able to play in the game? It's just very rare. Adam Schefter, I believe, tweeted this yesterday, right, EJ, that there's only been 2 guys who have ever been in concussion protocol and then actually played that same week.
Yeah, the last guy to do this was last season was Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
And it's a rare thing. It doesn't happen very often where a player goes into concussion protocol during a week and then plays that same week.
Especially, this is a short week too.
Yes.
Because they were playing Monday night. Now they're going to play Sunday.
On Tuesday.
Yeah, right.
All right, give me some Darnold.
I know.
I love Brock. I'm a big Brock Purdy fan, but Darnold would be, we got to make a consensus here. We got to figure out who's right, you or me.
The other part too is if Darnold is great, let's just say he balls out. Puts a little dent in the Brock Purdy story.
Well, it's not like we haven't seen the Niners jump from quarterback to quarterback. They have no problem doing that. I know, but that's
like some of those quarterbacks were so bad, like C.J. Beathard and Nick Mullins, that when Jimmy Garoppolo got there, he looked like Joe Montana. Not everybody can run the system. 855-212-4CBS. Want to hear from you, 49ers fans. Nervous at all? 855-212-4227. Coming up, got the best team in college football. Turn our attention there. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
She was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1986. He left her off the ballot. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. New morning show here on CBS Sports Radio. Got a pretty good slate of college football games this weekend, Perloff, but I don't think we're any closer to really 100% being able to nail down who is the best team in college football. If you were going to give me right now the snapshot of college football, who do I think is the best team? I think it has to be Michigan, right? I mean, they haven't played anybody. I get that, but they have gone they've just crushed their opponent. So haven't played anybody, but have also not found themselves ever trailing at any point. The defense hasn't even stopped a goal-to-go situation. I mean, now it's maybe clouded a bit by this Michigan sign-stealing scandal. But if you're asking me who looks the most dominant, I have to give them over the edge. I have to give them the edge over Georgia right now.
So do you judge an NFL preseason? A team goes 3-0 and you care what they do? Or they win the summer league in the NBA? This is completely meaningless. Give me both teams on an open field. I mean, a neutral field.
Yeah.
I'm taking Georgia every day. And this is simple math. Michigan lost to TCU, then Georgia turned around. Basically the same team, same Michigan team. Georgia beat TCU 62-7, meaning they would have beaten Michigan by more than 58 points. How could you possibly pick the Big Ten school? I know Ohio State almost tripped up Georgia last year.
Yeah.
Over Georgia.
They lost by a point, Ohio State did last year.
Yeah, I just think that that's very dangerous to think that Michigan can take that leap. They have not shown that they can compete with the SEC teams in the Final Four.
Well, first of all, they just forgot to send Connor Stallions to TCU. Clearly, that was a mistake that they didn't send this guy to pre-scout TCU, and that's where this thing all went to, you know what.
There was a list of schools. I think TCU was on there. I think Kansas State was also on there. Which is amazing, by the way, that they sent Connor Stallions to Big 12 schools.
Well, then clearly, we found his weak spot, which is being able to scout the Big 12. I mean, I'm half joking here, but I do think that Michigan, I don't know how this scandal is going to affect them now that it's out there and this is unfolding. But I do think they are the best team. I think that J.J. McCarthy is better than Carson Beck. I think that listen, at some point, it's not like Georgia's fallen off, by the way. They had their test so far against Kentucky. They end up passing that with flying colors. Yes, they were in a one-score game with Auburn. I'm even willing to dismiss that because they did come away with the win. So I'm not going to knock them for it. But you're asking me who looks the most dominant. I do think it's Michigan. How do they deal with this shroud of I don't know, controversy that's around them is interesting to me because every day we get a new detail and we've got new ones even this morning.
Yeah, by the way, one quick thing. Georgia's guaranteed a spot in the Final Four where Michigan is not. Michigan now, one loss for Michigan, and I think they're out. And not just because the team that beats them is going to get in. So if Ohio State beats them, Ohio State's in. If Penn State beats them, Penn State could be in because all those teams will probably go to run. And I think the manifesto.
Penn State's not going to beat them.
The whole scale, you never know in college football.
I guess now.
There's no now. You have no idea. That game was in Columbus, and it was super close for most of the game. Penn State, you can't guarantee.
Is Penn State going to actually start throwing the ball? Or are they actually going to try to win the game or not lose it?
I just think that you can definitely not count anything as a sure thing in college football. I think that the issue here is you're looking at the Final Four committee. Are they judging what's happening with Jim Harbaugh? If Michigan has one loss, are they automatically out? Because Michigan's been great, but we haven't seen them play any real team. They could easily lose, especially to Ohio State. You have no idea in that game. Ohio State obviously is filled with future pros, just like Michigan.
You're right about that. So the latest details here, and you're welcome to weigh in, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Who do you think is the best team in college football right now? Perloff, you're going with Georgia?
Yes, they're the two-time defending champions. I feel this should be obvious. I think they should get the benefit of the doubt, even though they put 30 defensive players in the NFL the last 2 years. I assume they have 15 more ready to go.
I think it's still Michigan, but man, it is getting harder and harder to not look at this Michigan program and just start shaking your head, I guess, in disbelief or maybe laughing a little bit, because you can say, okay, for the people who don't think the sign stealing scandal is a big deal.
I don't.
Okay. People like Perloff. You can say, oh, I bet every team does this, right?
I bet they do.
I bet every team sends advanced scouts to videotape the opposing sidelines.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'll bet you everyone's sneaking advanced scouts into that, because it seems crazy to me that you wouldn't want somebody in the stadium.
Okay, so it's illegal to do that. Michigan obviously is getting caught for doing that. But some of these details that are coming out, I kind of don't think every school has this type of thing going on, which is now that this investigation has really gone full bore. This guy, Connor Stallions, during this investigation revealed that he's been part of a small group of people, 2 of whom are said to be low-level positions at different college football coaching staff. So he's, talking to guys who are on different coaching staffs, putting their heads together for a long-term plan to run the Michigan football program. Okay? This guy claims he's got a Google Doc between 550 and 600 pages long that he managed daily, this is according to Sports Illustrated, containing a blueprint for the Wolverines' future. He referred to the document as a movement more than a plan, dubbing it the Michigan Manifesto. This guy is delusional. I'm all for people realizing their hopes and dreams, and I'm not trying to yuck anyone else's yums here, but he thinks he's running the Michigan program, and he's also consulting other people on other teams. Why would you be doing that? Are you giving away other secrets or trading secrets to people who are on different football staffs? This dude is something else.
I mean, if you're going to write a manifesto, you have to think big, Maggie. You can't just contain it in Ann Arbor. You got to go nationwide.
Can I also just point this out? The term manifesto, pretty dark. I don't think we're associating that with anything good in this day and age. I don't even know if it was ever considered anything good, but like a Michigan manifesto sounds like something very disturbing that you would find in a cabin or something left behind from some awful person. This is weird stuff. And again, this scandal, the sign stealing, might not be the biggest deal in the world, and especially when it comes to other college football scandals we've seen. But man, are the details here, one's worse than the next. And this one just talks to the extent of who this guy was who was gathering this information, and he seems like he's not all there.
So do you think it's going to impact them on the field? Because I worry that the result's going to be what the result's going to be. Say Penn State does beat Michigan, and I think they have a chance. Then are we going to say, oh, it's because of the scandal?
I think that Michigan,
because to me,
they kind of deserve whatever comes their way a little bit with this, right? Like, people are going to make conclusions, and especially college football fans. I mean, if you don't like Michigan, you've been waiting for this moment to sort of dig your heels in and point at them and laugh and all that stuff. So for college football, you'll probably use any excuse.
Yeah, I just feel like scandal can have a galvanizing effect. Maybe Michigan plays harder because of this. I just don't think... I don't think everything is going to be determined by this scandal, because college football teams have had scandal. We saw the one this has been compared to is Cam Newton in season. It was revealed that he was paid, and they just went on a roll. They didn't really even seem to be bothered by it. Manti Te'o, I don't know if that bothered Notre Dame in the final game, but I don't think that the players are going to be all as caught up in this as everyone on the outside, all the fans and everybody else is.
Man, did the Manti thing come out before the final game? I thought it was after.
Oh, I thought the fake Manti, that was after the game.
I thought it was after the game because he went through the whole Heisman Trophy ceremony too. Remember in the documentary, he's talking about like how he's standing there at the Heisman Trophy ceremony. He knew it was fake, but the public didn't know yet. He knew he had been catfished, but the public didn't know yet. You're just waiting for it to come out.
Okay.
Anyway, details. But this Michigan manifesto part of this is bizarre. Maybe need a little bit bigger and better of a vetting program going on for your staffers at Michigan, because this dude clearly had designs and thought he was a much bigger deal than he was. And maybe it's because he was empowered to take on this mission of going and collecting this data against future opponents.
It's so funny. So you think that other teams are not sending advanced scouts, are not doing similar things? I don't think any team has gone nearly as far as Michigan. I think when all the dust settles, people are going to be like, wow, they just took it way too far.
Okay.
Because we know other teams have been accused of this.
Oh, definitely. Listen, I think everything could be going on. I think the paranoia in college football is so deep. I'll give you an example. When we were at Sports Illustrated and we would go do these tours where we'd go to different college football towns every week leading up to the end of the season, we'd sit down with coaches and stuff like that. I cannot tell you, we'd be there on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday before a big game. I cannot tell you how many times we got the feeling that a school thought we were like gathering information for a rival school.
Wow.
As a news gathering organization, like we were very, very concerned if we had ever tried to shoot any video of not even walkthroughs. We would never do something like that. But anything about the stadium or whatever, very, very paranoid at most of the campuses that we stepped foot on.
Oh, there you go. Apparently, Connor Stallions was just so stealthy that nobody noticed.
Yeah, I know. Mr. Blends right in. I think everything's on the table when it comes to trying to get an advantage. But clearly Michigan went too far because they're the ones that got caught. Or someone really had an axe to grind with Michigan and decided to bring this to the NCAA, and they had proof, which is the guys on the sideline. You can see him gathering the information, then you can see him delivering the information.
Ohio State, I hope Michigan does beat Penn State and they go in undefeated against Ohio State, because that is going to be a wild, wild scene. The best rivalry in sports, amped up to a whole nother level. College fans are the best signs. That is going to be such a fun game.
Though.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still just going to be
if it was in Ohio State, it'd be a little.
Oh, don't you think it'll be crazy, though, the hype around this game with the sign stealing?
Definitely.
It'll be definitely the game of the year, since I guess the game of the year so far has been something with Deion. This will take it over. Yeah. I think it'd be a gigantic rating. Hopefully they'll both go in undefeated. Ohio State's gotten by all their tests. Now Michigan just has to win at Penn State, and you think Penn State's not good.
Well, it's not that they're not good. The offense, I mean, are they going to be able to actually make significant changes to look more explosive before this game? Because you just saw when they tried to make it a defensive slug-it-out game with Ohio State and slow everything down, and that didn't work.
Well, it might have worked. They kind of got screwed. That fumble 6, it turned out they got up 10-3 and just choked the life out of that game. They might have actually won that game. They definitely got outplayed, but they did prove, hey, our defense is legit. And we have no idea. Michigan has not played a single team yet. So, but Georgia, saying they're better than Georgia, come on. If Georgia's playing Michigan in the final championship game, wherever it is this year, you know Georgia's going to be a 7-point favorite.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Yeah, Michigan Manifesto is kind of the last thing I had on my bingo card for this one.
And it's funny, when you talk about the manifesto and we talk about why is Michigan the team that's being dinged, and we say, well, maybe they were more sloppy, or maybe there was something with how they're doing it that's worse.
Yeah.
After reading some of this stuff about this guy having a manifesto and his quest to take over Michigan football, could it be that this guy was a weirdo, and that tipped off these teams saying, who the hell is this guy? Like to me, this didn't seem like a guy who was all there. And I wonder if maybe that has something to do with why this also got as well. That, Harbaugh may have employed a guy to do this that probably shouldn't have even been in this position.
Yeah, right. 28 years old, so the guy is pretty young dude.
Right.
28. I know you're a full-grown adult. He's a former Marine, so he's obviously, old enough, mature enough to serve our country. But it just seems like, yes, again, I don't think, even as a joke, do you put something as a manifesto? It's just, again, does not have a very positive connotation. In fact, quite the opposite. And now he's working with guys from other schools, like he was assembling some kind of staff, like a rogue staff. I don't even know how to put this in context. It is just extremely weird.
And I think it's a bad reflection on Jim Harbaugh.
Definitely.
I really do. Like this, like Jim Harbaugh is looked at as one of the most, accomplished college football coaches, a very respected football coach, period, college and the NFL. And you got this joker running around doing this and with this idea that he's going to take over Michigan football. And now you're regardless of whether or not this is something that is common practice, whatever. I mean, you embarrassed the school.
Yeah,
you embarrassed school. You embarrassed the football program for this guy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Wait, you're saying Jim Harbaugh looks bad in this scandal?
I think he looks terrible. Like that. This is the guy.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, of course, Jim Harbaugh.
No, I'm saying
terrible.
no, but I think even beyond like,
so
beyond him looking bad, it's this character being the guy that's the center of this.
So it's funny. You don't have a problem that there was cheating, but you have a problem that the guy is too weird who's cheating.
No, I think it all goes hand in hand. I mean, the scandal's not Watergate. Like it doesn't rise to the level of the all-time scandals, but in some ways it's not worse, but it's even worse because there's obviously some dude at the center of this that was not ready.
He's a cartoon character
to be involved at any kind of level of Michigan football. Obviously, he couldn't handle this because now he's getting, he's been found out. He's been exposed, and the more we learn about this dude, the weirder it gets.
Listen, Bill Belichick had a scandal going on where there was a guy on his equipment staff nicknamed the Deflator. So it's not like the great coaches have control of all this stuff. We think that they're the Oz, that they can control everything. It's a big program there, guys. I mean, there's probably 4 or 5 psychos on that staff.
It's like the statistics would just bear out.
I mean, look at any college staff. You don't think 3 or 4 of those people are totally crazy on any team?
It's also funny that in the text messages that the investigators got, it was revealed that he was bragging about being friends with Jim Harbaugh's son.
I would do that too.
He's also on the staff.
The Jim Harbaugh's son? Hire that dude.
Yeah, there's a Harbaugh on the staff. After reading the 36 people on the staff yesterday, I saw Harbaugh. I was like, I didn't know that.
I'm starting to get this weird feeling.
What's that?
Jim Harbaugh's going to be back in Michigan. I feel like
all signs are pointing the total opposite direction.
I just feel like I understand what you're saying. I feel like he's not going to want to go out like this. And he's Mr. Defiant. I feel like if it gets to the point where it's the world against Michigan, he's a Michigan man. Also, he might shortcut some of his future opportunities if it gets worse and worse. Maybe the NFL doesn't come calling and he doesn't get the job, and maybe this makes him stay at Michigan longer just to be, to sort of shake his fist at the NCAA. That's Jim Harbaugh. Like, you have to admit, the guy does like to take on authority.
You're right. The tendency's there, ironically, because he is the authority in most of his life, 99% of it. But yes, he does like to be defiant towards the NCAA and others. And I think you're seeing a little bit of cracks here. And this is what happens when I think you tout like the Michigan man or you tout these great cultures. Like, again, it's really hard to hold up. And you're seeing the cracks now. And I think the reason why this scandal has gotten so big is partly because of that Michigan culture and Michigan so this, and it's such a great academic school, and they make fun of Ohio State for how much better academic school they are than Michigan is, and it's so hard to get in there. It's like nobody's immune to having some weirdo on their staff who's writing a manifesto. Like, you can't prop your culture up. It's hard to prop that up and to have it hold.
Oh, I mean, we wouldn't even care about the scandal if it was at some mid-level college. If it was at Iowa State or something, it wouldn't be. First of all, it's Michigan. Second, Jim Harbaugh, a coach who's been to the Super Bowl in the NFL, was a star football player and is a character in his own right. EJ brought up an interesting point. If this makes Jim Harbaugh look so bad, then do you think the NFL is going to be so excited to hire him next year?
I think the NFL will hire him. I just think he's got to maybe lower his expectations. If he thought he was going to be GM and coach, then maybe that's off the table.
Yeah, but maybe Michigan looks attractive to him because I don't think Michigan cares.
I will say this. If Jim Harbaugh is allowed to come back to Michigan and coach football games, the NCAA might as well just disband.
Well, they should.
They should just disband.
Yeah, I know. But if you have this situation, we have this thing they're saying that is illegal, where you have a guy going these games using what they're calling illegal technology to get an edge.
Yeah.
And the head football coach, who we know has to have signed off on it, he's on the sidelines showing the signs to the rest of the players during the games. If that happens and Jim Harbaugh is coaching every game like nothing happened, then the NCAA is useless. There's no need for them at this point.
I think they will try to impose a penalty here. I mean, the investigation's still ongoing. Or you do the self-imposed ban like Harbaugh did for the first 3 games this year. I think everything's on the table, but I don't think it's coming from the NCAA.
Well, I do think that the 2027 recruiting class, when you take those 2 scholarships away, that's going to really hurt them. What are they going to do?
I think it's either the Big Ten might want to do something if the other coaches are griping. If the other coaches are griping, they might want to do something. Not this year, but they might want to do something. Or if the heat gets too much at Michigan, but I feel like they'll probably stand up for him.
I'll push back on the scholarship thing. I mean, I'm a Miami fan. I know there are USC fans who have listened. Like, they hammered those schools with scholarship issues that actually hurt those schools for years. So,
but transfer portal, maybe it's a different game now than when those penalties were issued.
I mean, those transfers have to walk on. I mean, it's still a hurdle. You know, like if you have a limited amount of scholarships you can have on your roster, then that's the number.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to scholarship and develop a guy. You can bring in starters and use those scholarships on starters.
Right. There may be a way to get around that, but I mean, even depth teams end up having injuries, and you don't have enough scholarship players to really put a true competitive team out there. If you're Michigan playing in the Big Ten, USC, UCLA's coming in, Washington, Oregon. That could hurt a program for the future.
But how many scholarship players do you need when you know the other team's plays by heart? It's laminated, EJ.
The signs are there. It's so funny that's one of the details here. The guy, Connor Stallions, was holding these laminated play sheets, but when you got a closer look, it wasn't plays. It was just signs, hand signs were on the laminated sheets.
I mean, this is college football. You have to be changing your signs. I don't even understand. Like, I thought that was obvious because they change up the teams that use posters change them up every week. So people are using hand signs but not changing them up. That sounds crazy to me.
I don't know. 855-212-4CBS. Again, I don't think they would keep doing it if they weren't getting some kind of advantage.
That's a good point.
855-212-4227. Will we ever see the manifesto?
I don't
you want to read 600 pages on the future of Michigan football?
That would scare me. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this guy's going to now live in infamy in college football lore.
He's going to have chapters on, like, Lloyd Carr and, you know, the Braylon Edwards game. Like, I don't know. That's somebody that's that into Michigan football. I'm out.
855-212-4CBS. Okay, coming up, a lot more to do, including latest drama concerning one of Perloff's favorite players. We'll get to that. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone all season long. You can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports, or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. All right, Maggie. You
Parent
teased to
dilemma.
me in the break. You have a parent dilemma. What do you got?
Okay, so our schedule has changed now. We used to work in the afternoon. So I was with my kid in the morning. I have a 4-year-old. I was with him in the morning, and my husband would do all the after-school stuff. So pick up, taking him wherever he need to go. So now we flip-flopped. And now I'm gone in the morning, and I'm doing the afternoon stuff. Man, that parent pickup is awkward, huh? It's the same people every day. That small talk is excruciating, and everyone's kind of standoffish. Like, no one's really talking. And this is just like a bad situation. I don't think we have like a good parent pickup vibe.
Never had to do it, so I'm not sure.
Okay. But you're sure with me.
I have friends. Don't you have friends that you say I do? Like, hey, so and so.
No, like no one's that friendly. That's the problem. I'm trying. I'm a good conversationalist.
So this is what, pre-K?
Yeah.
Is that a separate pickup than the rest of the school?
Yep.
A little early, right?
Right on point with that. Yep.
Yeah, that's how it is by me. And I probably was the standoff. Like, I didn't choose to engage.
Okay.
Like, I just kind of stood on the periphery, door opened, my kid popped out.
I could see that.
And we kind of left.
Not being social.
But it's also like, the thing is that I noticed, there's a wide range of ages, too, amongst parents. Like, there's the parents who are 26 with a 4-year-old. And then we were on the older side. So, like, it's a weird group to actually kind of all get together because everyone's very different.
A couple grandparents are picking kids up.
There are also some babysitters in there, too, probably.
Yep.
Maybe you don't want to presume.
Big part.
That could get
Question,
you in trouble.
do you worry about what you wear? Because there's a New York Times article about my particular elementary school that everyone wears a special outfit. That it's like a 2-page spread of Brooklyn moms dressing up for pickup.
No, what I was surprised by is how homeless everybody looks. I mean, really bad.
It's
like
real homeless yesterday.
It's real, like it's 3:30 in the afternoon, people. Why does it look like half of us have not brushed our teeth?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. I get the drop-off, like...
Oh, the morning can be a you-know-what show.
That is ugly.
Yeah.
Like, I used to wear like a hat and sunglasses like I was robbing a bank.
Honestly, I think it's part of the, work from home phenomenon.
Maybe.
Honestly, I think people are kind of just chilling at the crib. They don't, working from home there, and they're like, oh well. These are some people that may have actually gone to work before, and then would pick up their kids from work. Some people in uniform. My dad would be in uniform sometimes, picking me up from school. Like, those people maybe don't exist as much.
There's like one lady who comes and she's in like something nice where she's like a key card on the side of her belt. Like, it looks like she clearly just came from an office. Everyone else, it's like we look like what the cat dragged in.
They definitely just got out of a Zoom meeting that they had with the video off.
Yeah, right.
Here is the Times article on my school. Who cares what I wear to school drop-off? Me. How we dress for those 5 minutes may not be important, but a bit of effort would be nice.
Gosh, it's pretentious.
The snootiest article you ever read. And then there's just picture after picture of these people wearing incredibly expensive outfits.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn's a little different, but you don't wear sweatpants, do you? I can't say. I've never really seen you wearing sweatpants.
Well, but here's the thing. So now we have this different schedule. Every day is like 2 days because we have the morning where we wake up in the middle of the night. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying what it's like. And then we have a whole afternoon. So generally I will I'll work out. I'll take my makeup off. So yes, I do. I am part of the homeless population.
Oh, get out of here. Show us. You got to show us. Send us a picture because I cannot imagine you looking homeless. You always look nice.
I will. Challenge accepted.
Ask one of your non-friends take a picture of your outfit this afternoon.
I know what it is.
Ask one of the random
I know
moms.
what it is. It's going to be $110 Lululemon pants and a nice. You're wearing. Every mom has those pants.
When I dress down, I dress all the way down. It's like this is a pair of mesh.
Do you guys buy this? You guys know Maggie. Do you buy that she is wearing George Costanza gray sweatpants and a t-shirt?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I could see it.
Thank you, Pete.
I could. Not as a.
By the way, it's always when I look the worst. So this happened the other day, and again, this is not a complaint, but we went to Costco and I didn't buy anything. Remember, I told you guys I went to Costco. I'm the first person in history. I didn't buy anything. I walked out and I said to my husband, I'm like, man, I caught a glimpse of myself in like a reflective dish or something. I was like, I can't believe I left the house looking like this. I look so bad. So I ended up taking my kid after to like one of those indoor play places. And again, I look so bad. I look like I had dysentery or something, just like a disease.
I think you're bearing the lead here. How do you go to Costco without buying anything?
I know. I'm like a superwoman. I get to the front where I'm paying for the kid to go in the play place, and he looks down at the name because you have to sign a waiver, and he's like, "The sports commentator?" I was like, "Oh no! You only get recognized when you look the worst you could possibly." I just covered my face. I was like, "I'm so sorry." He's like, "No, I'm a big fan." It was great. And I appreciate the shout out, but I was so embarrassed for how I looked. And then I just had to be in that play place for the next 2 hours with the guy being like, "You need an ice cream sandwich?" Sure.
Shower?
Yeah, right.
Usually I'm coming from work when I go get my son from school.
Yeah.
But so I'll have the pants on but going there.
Good. Thanks for wearing pants.
I appreciate that.
Going there, no.
Yeah. If you weren't wearing pants to the school pickup, we'd probably be reading about you in the New York Post.
That's right.
Big Dave's in Kentucky. Dave, how you been, dude?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing awesome. What's up?
Listen, Max. Here's the thing. You dictate how this pickup situation goes. I mean, you be you. You take charge of the situation. One thing that I learned a long time ago. I mean, you've always got to be that person that sucks the air out of the room. It doesn't make any difference if you're in, for instance, if you're speaking in front of 800 convicted felons, or if you're sharing company with 30, poorly dressed kindergarten child picker-upper type people. You be you. I mean, you be the star in the room.
Dave, that's the kind of attitude and the inspiration that I needed today. Thank you. And how about your Cowboys this weekend? What do you think against the Rams?
Who knows? I mean, I'm literally, who knows? Coming off a bye, I don't know. Let me ask y'all a question. I'm sorry, man. I missed you guys. I haven't got to call in too much lately, so I don't know what all I've missed going on. But is this not like the year when it's the most week to week with almost every team that you've ever seen? I mean, just when you think like today, everyone has the Ravens. I mean, they're loading up the plane to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
2 weeks ago, they were, Jackson was trash and they had no chance. So does it just not seem like it's more week to week right now than ever before?
Yeah, but isn't that the media, though, just takes every game as if it's a referendum on where every team is, no matter what? Even if, like, Lamar Jackson had 7 big drops and everyone said he played badly. Yeah, don't you? I mean, guys like
we're to blame.
You and me and Maggie, we see the big picture. We don't get caught up in week to week, right, Dave?
Well, that's true, McLevin. I'm not disagreeing with you, but seriously, I mean, like your Eagles, for instance. I mean, like this week they looked like world beaters, like the team we thought they were. Last week they looked like garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, Brock Purdy has went from the Joe Montana lookalike to now they're contemplating whether or not he should be traded or whatever. I mean, I do agree. Obviously, the media is a hype machine, and that's what they do. But still, yeah, there's just, I don't think that there's the one team, maybe the Chiefs, that are you almost know what you're going to get from week to week.
Yeah, Dave, I agree with you on that. I think it has felt more week to week. And thank you for the positivity. If you're wondering why Dave said, standing up and talking in front of 800 convicted felons, he's a former warden. That's generally something that people find themselves doing often. I've got to own the pickup, he's saying. And I change my attitude.
I think what Dave's saying speaks to what you said about the 49ers. Like, we anointed them as the 17-0. I think I said 17-0. Yeah, that's probably not happening this year's NFL. Is it injuries? What do you think the reason behind it is?
I think it's parity. I think it's maybe injuries, and they all kind of even out. But
that being said, I think I agree with what Dave said at the end. There's one team that none of this applies to. That's the Kansas City Chiefs.
Bogusch is here with some headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again, everybody. So Victor Wembanyama scored 9 points in the final 7 minutes of his NBA debut last night, but not much before that because of foul trouble.
It might be frustrating, but always keeping the head up is good for my teammates, so I can show it on the court, and it's, we learn every day.
Despite the late push from Wemby, the Spurs couldn't stop Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving. They combined for 55 points in a 126-119 Mavs win in San Antonio. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard combining for 50 to lead the Clippers past the Blazers 123-111. Jason Tatum and Kristaps Porzingis had 64 in the Celtics 108-104 win at the Knicks. Porzingis is 30, the most ever by somebody in their first Celtic game. Donovan Mitchell with the go-ahead three with 12 seconds left, and the Cavs 114-113 win in Brooklyn. Zion Williamson had 23, and the Pelicans 111-104 win in Memphis. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went for 31, 10 assists as the Thunder rolled through Chicago 124-104. The Bulls held a players-only meeting afterwards, an oddity on opening night, but head coach Billy Donovan didn't mind.
If that's going on in game one, I think it's in some ways really, really good because I think people are now stepping up saying, hey, there's certain things that we've just got to be better.
Yeah, I just don't think that night one should require a players-only meeting. What have they been doing for the last month?
I'm on the flip side of this. I know everyone's clowning them for having a players-only meeting game one. I kind of like it. Nip it in the bud. Like, you played terribly. Don't let this fester into a second game or a third game. Like, get everyone back on the same page now, right?
I mean, I'm here for the efficiency of it. It's just odd that it was necessary out of the gate.
Yeah, it's true. What have you been doing in training camp? Shouldn't that be one big players bonding meeting?
And this would worry me. Like, I mean, you're doing this in game one. Like, what happens when we have a 5-game losing streak in December? Is that just an all-out brawl? Like, how do you up the ante more than a players-only meeting? You've done it after only going 0-1.
Yeah, you're starting on 10. Usually that's the last resort is the players-only meeting. I think there's another thought too. Billy Donovan is a good coach, but do you think they shut the door on Donovan because they're like, hey, this guy's going to be gone soon if we keep playing, we got to decide if we want to play for him or not.
And it's basically the same team as last year. It's not like it's new guys figuring things out. They just ran it back, and he and Vucevic were yelling during the game at each other. So yeah, this is not a good start. Here's the problem for Brock Purdy. This season, no players entered concussion protocols and played that same week. Purdy is there now, beginning to feel symptoms on the flight home from Monday night's loss in Minnesota. No way to prove if this was the reason, but he did take a nasty shot to the helmet on a QB sneak in that game. Bucs QB Baker Mayfield is technically questionable for Thursday Night Football in Buffalo with a knee injury, but he and Chris Godwin expected to play tonight. The receiver has a neck issue, and the Seahawks are expected to sign pass rusher Frank Clark 2 weeks after the Broncos released him. Clark played his first 4 seasons in Seattle. A Michigan State hearing officer decided yesterday that Fire football coach Mel Tucker did violate the school's sexual misconduct policy with his behavior towards Brenda Tracy. The school said nothing else because the process continues, including Tucker having the right to appeal that decision. Dusty Baker wouldn't discuss his future after the Astros lost Game 7 of the ALCS, but now it's time to say that he's retiring. Press conference in Houston today. 7th on the all-time wins list. Baker is Cooperstown eligible in 3 years. The Diamondbacks and Rangers have named their starting pitchers for World Series Game 1 on Friday in Arlington. Arizona going with Zach Gallen, who allowed 9 runs on 11 hits over 2 starts against the Phillies. Nathan Eovaldi won Games 2 and 6 of the ALCS for the Rangers. Apparently, no NHL game had ever followed a pattern like this before. The Capitals won the first period last night, 3-0 in Jersey. The Devils responded by taking the second period 4-0, and then the Caps took the third 3-0 again. Put it all together, it's a 6-4 Washington win. And again, we finish with some MLS wildcard action. Sporting KC and San Jose playing away scoreless draw. KC advances on PKs. Will face top-seeded St. Louis City in a best-of-3. The New York Red Bulls get East top-seed FC Cincinnati after a 5-2 blowout of Charlotte FC. Guys, back to you.
Andrew Bogusch, thank you so much for all the latest headlines. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We have poll questions up, EJ? We do, right? We got something?
Yeah, we got a poll question up here. Let's bring it up here. So we asked the question, will Victor Wembanyama live up to the hype? A simple question, but I think an important one given how he played last night and all the hype around that game. So dead heat right now. We have 49.4% say yes, 50.6% say no.
I put up a poll, too, on the Perloff secret poll.
Yes, the competing poll where Perloff goes against the show.
Yeah, if I don't like the results of the Maggie and Perloff poll, I put up my own.
It's like the Rasmussen poll of Maggie and Perloff show.
Yes,
if they play on a neutral field, who do you got, Georgia or Michigan? You guys care to guess the result?
Oh, I'm sure.
I think people say Georgia.
Georgia's
by like
the 2-time
65%.
champ.
Yeah.
By a lot, Georgia.
Yeah. Well, 65% Georgia, and I think there's a reason.
I mean, that's also the respect factor.
Yeah, and I think they respect him because I think that they could beat Michigan on a neutral field.
Also, Michigan's stock at an all-time low right now. It's tough to say, they're definitely the best team when you got some guy out here with a manifesto.
Well, the odds are really high. I think they're still the Vegas favorite because Georgia's got 3 ranked games. Georgia could trip, but Michigan could trip too. The funny thing is probably these teams are not going to play in the final game.
Coming up, so much more to do, including the one player who should have the inside track on the Heisman. We'll get to that. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. 2 out of 4 people headbanging right now in the studio. That's half. Let's get to our daily Deion.
Daily.
Do you believe that?
Deion.
You believe that?
This portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Just what you've always wanted. Season 2 of Coach Prime going to be available on Prime Video. Here's a snippet.
He's brought a level of excitement unlike any coaches that we've seen.
It's prime time in Boulder, baby.
We ain't coming no more. We here. We ain't got tomorrow. We got now.
Yeah.
We got to have it today. We here. Thank you. Brian, you deserve this. Thank you, Jesus.
Come on.
All right.
I think we got the gist.
Yeah, I got that.
By the way, how is this any different than any Fox broadcast of a Colorado game?
It's one big Deion documentary.
Yeah, I mean, I think Deion's got to go away for a little bit so the ratings can go up for this. Because what could there possibly be that's not on TV 24 hours a day right now?
I'm expecting now that there will be a camera crew following Deion Sanders from now till the end of our natural lives. Like, this is it now. We just got Deion season 28. It's going to be like the Real Housewives. This is multiple spin-offs.
Yeah, I think I worry about, this is going to sound crazy. I worry about the exposure in the sense that, like, is anyone going to care? Nobody cared about season 1. Isn't there going to be a little, like, you can't have a documentary when the guy is on TV every day? Like, everything's out there. Deion is the most open person in all of sports, and he says, I'm the most open person in sports.
Listen, you can have a documentary about everything, and you're nobody unless you have a camera crew following you around.
Yeah,
Do you even exist if there's not some streaming service making a documentary about your life?
You guys are big Deion fans. Are you going to click on this? And when's it come out?
I think December 7th, I believe. It's definitely December.
Can you imagine at that point of the season, like, man, I really need to see much more behind-the-scenes Colorado stuff? That's every day.
I need to go back and relive that Colorado State win.
You need a documentary. Yeah. You need to learn something that you haven't learned. So that's what I worry about it.
I think to me, it would be better if it was kind of like Hard Knocks, where, it comes out the week after whatever happens. So, when they beat TCU, like, would I want to see, like, the behind-the-scenes after that TCU win? Absolutely. Yeah. Like, the whole Jay Norvell stuff that was happening in Colorado State, like, that stuff would have been riveting. I don't know, by December, when we're talking about who's in the college football playoff, will I care so much about what they were doing in September and October?
I feel like we kind of got to see the Jay Norvell stuff. And do you think that would be fresh in a documentary? Do you think there was more to it?
That there's, like, Deion was playing I love the brother, and I wish him well. I guarantee behind the scenes, he was definitely more,
yeah.
Probably like, how dare he?
Well, maybe we'll get that. That could be good in December.
Well, the other part too is we've been using the term documentary kind of loosely. It's like we know that Hard Knocks is a little curated for us. They give the team the final say over what we see, but yeah, we need to. At some point, these documentaries have got to start giving us a little bit more.
It's hard with college sports. Remember the Florida one that came out recently? It
got panned.
Yeah, it got panned. They control the documentary. I mean, can you imagine anyone really getting behind Alabama? That would never happen.
No, but I think EJ just gave a good idea, free, by the way, to all the streaming services and networks. They should do preseason Colorado Hard Knocks.
Yes, that's what I was just saying that.
I'm just wondering if HBO maybe might want to think about, is this the thing that, Hard Knocks been going on for how many, 25 seasons now or something? Maybe they do Colorado next year instead of the NFL.
Trust me, they already do. It's called ESPN and Fox.
I'm just
saying.
And
the other thing, do you think anybody watches actual Hard Knocks? No.
Okay, but
they do so much exposure on this program. Hard Knocks is the last thing we need. That's all there is. That's what. Turn on the TV right now. Deion is talking to somebody.
On any of these, NFL or college, anybody, I'd rather see the recruiting process. I'd rather see how you're procuring players.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I'd rather see that than the in-season.
And by the way, even that Deion Jay Norvell, we should revisit this. You think you're going to see the real Deion talking about Jay Norvell? Is that the way this documentary is going down?
I don't know if it will, but I feel like that would make me want to see if he does say something. I mean, before that game, first he was like, he talked about my mama. Well, guess what we're gonna have for him? And after the game, he's like, oh no, I love the brother and I wish him well. And
but I kind of actually,
there's probably more behind the scenes stuff he was saying about how he felt about that we didn't see.
Remember, he bought the entire team sunglasses.
Yeah,
because the Jay Norvell said that his mom raised him not to wear sunglasses inside or whatever.
By the way, 17.5-point underdogs against UCLA. I mean,
a little high.
You guys watch UCLA. They can't do anything offensively. I feel this like an easy bet, which makes me really nervous.
To take the 17?
Yeah, to take the 17. And it's a plus 625 money line, too. Like Colorado, I know it's been down, but it's not like they've been getting blown out by teams. This is really interesting. We forgot they actually have a football season to play.
Wait, what? Also, Deion coming to the defense a little bit of Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. Basically said, sign stealing, even if you know the sign, you still have to stop me, right? So it's funny because when Deion said that, he also said, it's not like knowing if a curveball's coming. If a curveball's coming, I'm on it. If the sign is in football, you still have to stop me. It was like somehow shaded the Houston Astros in the response a day after the Astros got eliminated.
Yeah, did you all see Saban and Kelly came out hard on the communication thing? Like, obviously, I have an easy solve. Now just put the communication in your helmet like the NFL.
Yep, that's where this is going.
But colleges, you bring up a good point. They're awfully paranoid. Do you trust that AV system?
What, someone's going to hack into it? Or?
Oh, yeah. A junior at Auburn, you don't think he's going to hack into the Alabama sound system?
I wouldn't put anything past college, not only the coaches, but the fans.
Yeah. And there's some student athletes working on this. I mean, some young kids who are doing this. Yeah, they'll totally cheat that system.
Danny Cannell just told a funny story about when he was with the Broncos that the radio system sometimes in Denver would pick up like a Spanish polka music like radio. You get like polka music in with Mike Shanahan calling plays into the helmet. 855-212-4CBS. You're welcome to weigh in. Coming up, one thing we're watching for tonight. Guys, got a lot to do here. It's Maggie and Perloff. Stay with us. CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's destined to get knocked out by Jake Paul. She's destined to film it. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. The one quarterback under the most pressure this weekend in the NFL, Perloff. And there's a lot to choose from because we got to have a lot of good matchups this weekend. But the one guy under the most pressure to me is Bryce Young. You're playing C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans this weekend, and things have gone pretty poorly for Bryce Young and for the Carolina Panthers. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that. Yeah. Carolina did not do him any favors because when they traded up to get him, they took away his best offensive weapon. Is DJ Moore's in Chicago, and clearly Carolina does not have enough offensively to make this a legitimate thing. But they also, I think, did him some disservices where I thought your boy Andy Dalton probably should have started the season for the Carolina Panthers. You could bring Bryce Young along a little bit more slowly because this was not a team that was going to contend.
Oh, absolutely. You know, he's getting a little better, though. I think that we kind of jumped to conclusions. If they had their draft pick and they get traded away to get him, then I think we'd be okay. They'd be like, okay, you know what? He's starting to get incrementally better, and that's all you want out of a rookie. We just, in our heads these days, we expect guys to come in immediately and play because we've seen that a few times.
Especially ones highly touted like Bryce Young.
And I think the other part of the problem for Bryce Young is C.J. Stroud has looked really good.
He's looked really good.
But that being said, I think the numbers on Bryce Young are going up. The numbers on C.J. Stroud are not going up. And the real numbers on C.J. Stroud are not quite as great as everyone thinks. I don't think people are really watching the Texans. He definitely has had his growing pains, too. He's quite inaccurate. In part because he's not throwing to anyone either.
He doesn't have a great, have a great amount of receivers or a great complement of receivers either. But they're 3-3. Houston Texans are alive in a potential playoff race right now. You can't rule them out. Meanwhile, the Carolina Panthers are winless so far this year. The head coach has already admitted that he and the owner have these like very tough, conflicting, whatever you want to call it, meetings that sound very not fun. Frank Reich, this might be a potential one and done year for him. Like,
very much so.
Everything is in disarray for one guy and one team, whereas DeMeco Ryans could win Coach of the Year this year, and Houston looks very stable.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, this thing, you're jumping a little of the gun on Houston. I think Houston's going to fall back to earth just because they're so young at every position, and I think teams are going to get some tendencies on C.J. Stroud. I think they like what they're seeing out of Bryce Young. Believe it or not, they don't love it, but I think they're like, okay, it's getting a little better. It's not embarrassing. This is not an embarrassing rookie year. He has 6 touchdowns and 4 picks, completing 63% of his passes. He could be
missed a game.
He could be worse. Yeah, no, the big problem with him is health. But when he does play, he has no one to throw, and he's often scrambling to avoid getting killed behind a iffy offensive line. I think you've seen enough signs where it looked really bad in the beginning of the year. The first 2 weeks, it's like, oh boy, we really screwed this up. Now I think you've seen enough where you're like, all right, this is not embarrassing. You were right, though. He kind of needs to win this game. They need to get off to Schneid, and he cannot get completely blown away by the number 2 pick.
Here is Bryce Young was talking about how he's not motivated by how well CJ Stroud is playing.
I try to be, just internally motivated and draw from that and try to run my own race and, try to be the best version I can and focus on the stuff that I can control and stuff that I can improve on. And, there's never going to be a time that I'm not rooting for CJ.
Yeah. I mean, I hope he would be motivated by this. I don't think he's going to say it. I hope he would be motivated by this. Listen, I think that sometimes we make a little too much of being the number one overall pick. Some guys, it means a lot to them. Some guys, maybe not as much. But I think you have to be feeling some motivation, even if he doesn't want to tell us, the outside and the media or the fans. But I'd hope that my rookie quarterback is taking this matchup personally.
Okay, but what's motivation going to do in this case? How hyped up, sorry,
yeah.
do you have to be to throw to Adam Thielen and
yeah.
whoever else is there, DJ Chark? I just don't think there's a lot of options here. This is a rebuilding team, so I don't know how do we judge him? Like, you need him to win this game to say that he hasn't been a bust, or where do we want to go with this?
I mean, can he go throw for throw? I mean, I don't know about winning the game, but can we see something more representative than averaging like 190 yards passing? Again, I know he doesn't have a lot there, but neither does Stroud.
Last few games, though, he's been closer to 250. I bet you both quarterbacks end up at 250, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and it's 20-14.
Here's Frank Reich, said the team is still happy that they took Bryce Young.
We got the guy we wanted to get, and couldn't be happier about that in every way. And I would say this: I'm happy for CJ. You know, he's had 6 good games, and I have no doubt he'll have many more good games. But I know this: when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks or any position, it's years, not weeks. You know, you can't put a label on a guy after 6 weeks or even a year. I've seen guys have Pro Bowl seasons and then a year later fighting to be a backup somewhere else. I mean, it's a crazy league.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Reich is right about that, but it's funny when he said he's the guy we always wanted, right?
Yeah.
Is that necessarily true? I mean, the day they made the trade up, do you think 100% that they were doing that for Bryce Young? Because I thought there was always a little bit of conversation about who. Remember, the odds on this were swinging wildly before the draft. Well, it was C.J. Stroud, and then it was Young.
Yeah, I don't think any team really was going to take C.J. Stroud number one. I think Bryce Young, most teams would have taken him coming off, an incredible career at Alabama. C.J. Stroud still had the Ohio State thing. Everyone thought, oh, this is just a product of Ohio State. I think people are surprised a little bit by how good C.J. Stroud is. So I think that's a little bit of revisionist history to say, oh, maybe they really wanted C.J. Stroud. I know there was that video where their assistant coach said, let's play basketball when you get here.
Josh McCown, yeah.
Yeah. But I do think most teams would have taken Bryce Young here. Here's my question. Does Frank Reich really mean that when he said we got the right guy? Because that could be coach speak.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be nervous because Frank Reich might have, the fact that they haven't won. And yes, if Bryce Young is looking incrementally good, is that going to be enough to save Frank Reich here?
It definitely will not. And C.J. Stroud would not have won games for this Carolina team. Who is the talent? Where's the talent? They have some defensive players, but even those guys have been disappointing. Miami obviously torched them. I think this is going to be a really low-scoring game. Both quarterbacks are going to look kind of meh, which is fine. They're rookies. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yep. 855-212-4CBS. Yeah, EJ.
Is there a question about how Carolina approached this in terms of getting their franchise quarterback at any and all costs and it now hurting their franchise quarterback? I mean, they traded away DJ Moore. They traded, of course, Chris McCaffrey last season. And Bryce Young was basically coming to a team with a completely empty cupboard. There was no ingredients to cook with.
Well, that's why I thought they should have started Dalton. I mean, start Dalton. Not that I'm saying Andy could be sacrificed or whatever, but see what's going. Get everyone a little bit, try to get everyone on the same page, and then you bring Bryce Young in like week 10 and give him the last 7-8 weeks of the season to try to get his footing.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think the answer to your question, no, there's no question that they completely screwed this up. There was no doubt in August, like they got the formula all wrong. You don't give up assets to get up there if you're not even close. You have a 5-year window to win with your rookie. And there's no signs that the Panthers, their owner, David Tepper, I think he got an itchy trigger finger and just is trying to do things too quickly and not building the right way at all.
Well, and the other part, too, is, yes, Bryce Young had a great college career, but he was not a slam dunk going to be awesome at the next level player. This is not like, we're not looking at a Trevor Lawrence. We're not looking at what we think Caleb Williams is going to be. Like, Bryce Young is great and, again, had this great career, but because of his size, I don't think anyone looked and said, we're looking at the next surefire franchise quarterback. So to trade all those assets, and you're right, they don't have their first-round pick for next year. That's going to the Bears, and it's probably going to be a top 3 pick.
Could be number 1.
For a guy who, while I think people like him, we're not saying, oh, no doubt this is going to work on the NFL level.
But, Bryce Young has this magical thing, though. If you get in a room and sit and talk to him for an hour, you're drafting him. I mean, I call him the CEO. He could run a company. He's got the most incredible magnetism, and I'm sure he drew those guys in, and I'm sure they bought hook, line, and sinker everything he was selling. That being said, those are the same qualities that make you a good pro. So I think it could work out. I don't think it's his biggest stretch. I think if he has things around him, he could be a good quarterback. And that's all you really ask. I mean, how many guys are going to be Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams? Yes, they did not get that guy, but I think they are showing signs that they got a guy who could be a productive NFL quarterback.
Yeah, but again, you say like anyone could be good if they have good pieces around them, right?
Not anyone.
Like you're expecting the number 1 overall pick to be something special. And I don't know if we're obviously not seeing that on the NFL level yet. That doesn't mean we won't ever, but he's not special out of the gate.
Trevor Lawrence, the Jags had to go out and spend $70 million on wide receivers. Everybody needs help.
Yeah. I mean, they whiffed so badly, though, with Urban Meyer. It's like you throw away that whole season. Jay is our pal in Nashville calling in. Jay, did you ever get that McGriddle?
Oh, yeah, I definitely got the McGriddles. I mean, they're not going to stop me from that, dude. What? No, but anyway, I'll kick over barriers, police lines, and everything. I don't care. Just give me my breakfast. But as far as Andy Dalton should have been they should, you know how to, he should have been a sacrificial lamb all day, all year. Like, they should have had him butt naked, tied up with an apple in his mouth, turning him over the fire. Like for real, he should be. You know how they put a pig and just twist him and turn him over the fire. That should have been Andy Dalton all day. That should have been the plan. Because I think that was EJ answered the phone. Was like, dude, you trade away all your wide receivers. You have no way to protect them, but you still want to throw him out there. And now he's hurt, and you can tell Frank Reich. You can hear it in his voice. Yep. I wanted CJ. You can tell. I mean, everything that he says translates. And I want a CJ. So, I mean, it's probably the dumbest GM job that I've seen in a while because it's like, wow, you traded everybody. Well, he ain't got nobody to throw to and you ain't got nobody to protect him. And the dude, it still looked like a sophomore in high school out there.
Jay, you're right. And this is our pal Boomer Esiason, who's 2 studios down from us here, who was college roommates with Frank Reich, said, at the time when this whole pre-draft thing was going on, Frank has never really coached a guy who was under 6'4". And then here comes Bryce Young, 5'10", 200 pounds. And it was not the profile of the guy that Frank generally had success with.
But this is Boomer Esiason.
Guys, this is 6 games here. You guys it sounds like you're leaning towards writing him off.
No, it's not that. It's just, I think it's fair to question, did Frank Reich actually want Young over Stroud? And is that always going to be simmering? And they play against each other this weekend. So it's all right here on the surface. I
hear you. But if in 3 years, if Bryce Young is the better quarterback, I think that is all forgotten. Because there have been a lot of quarterbacks who are even number 1 overalls who start off really slow. Matthew Stafford was terrible when he started.
Sure, Peyton
Manning stunk when he started.
Troy Aikman, sure.
So I just think that we've sped up expectations on quarterbacks because they're coming in the league more ready than ever. And CJ looks good. I agree with you. It's only because they're playing CJ Stroud this week. If it was a different opponent, we might quietly say, oh, okay, we're seeing some nice things out of Bryce Young. It's his expectations are way too high
with no one around him. That they haven't won a game yet. So, Jay couldn't get his McGriddle because there was a situation going down in a hotel in Nashville. Did you ever figure out what happened for real?
Nah, I'm a firm believer you should wake up in the morning and drink a tall, cold can of mind your business and, go about your day. So, no, I'm not going around trying to find out what happened. I mean, they got too much to worry about, Plus, somebody was already sick because they were at that hotel 10 deep, a week before. So it's kind of hey, like I said, I get up in the morning, drink a tall, gotta get my Red Bull and my tall 24-ounce can of mind my business and go about my day, man. I ain't got time to be worried about what's going on at a hotel. We all know what goes on at hotels, late at night when police show up. So it's I don't want nothing to do with that.
Well, you are no longer our Nashville hotel correspondent. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Jay.
I never would want to be, man. Like I said, it's a tall can of mind your business. You know what I mean? But
I think you could probably patent that.
Man.
Jay, thank you. So start
give
selling
me my breakfast.
Start selling tall, cold cans of mind your business. We could probably use a little of that as a society, don't you think?
I mean, we would be out of the radio business.
Well, not us.
We live.
I'm talking about everyone else out there. Everyone's very quick to pull out the camera phone these days to film each other, You guys saw
I see what you're saying.
One the other day, like this guy was like had an inch of his car like in the intersection, and all of a sudden it's like, you're in the, here's a video.
Well, this is how we know there are fights every time at a football stadium or baseball stadium is because people are invested in showing us.
But a fight, I get. Two people hauling off at each other, at an Astros game, like that's going to get filmed. But just regular mundane stuff, I feel like we're filming each other too much.
I feel, though, I agree with Jay. If a gun is anywhere involved, that's a mind your business situation. I don't need to look too far. If I'm on the subway and someone starts acting really crazy, this happened last night to me. I'm a mind your own business guy. I do
you
not.
Gotta be.
I don't turn my head and check it out. Do you? Like I avoid.
No, I avoid eye contact and usually get off this train at that stop and get into a different car.
How about in a traffic situation that you just described? If something funky is going on, a guy's doing something, are you a big lay on the horn and start screaming at everyone?
You got to catch yourself. Because the instinct is so there to lay on the horn, to give him the finger, whatever, and you just got to be. You never know who's in the other car.
Yes and yes.
You give people the finger, Pete?
Yes.
Double birds, like Eli
That's the
Manning?
least surprising thing about Pete, I feel like, though.
Well, you ever drive in New York City? It's horrible. I mean, trying to get out of here. No, I haven't. I was worse when I was younger. I was worse. But sometimes
like
someone
rage.
needs a little bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah. Imagine Pete. You drive by and Pete Pilates giving you the finger. I'd feel terrible about myself all day.
Oh, well, I mean, they probably did something to deserve it. I don't like doing it, but sometimes it's annoying. I look, we got to get home. People got to get home. Let's go. Move.
I remember once my parents, I grew up in the restaurant and catering business. So we had like vans that had like the name of our restaurant and catering business with the phone number on the side. Of course, trying to run a business here. You got to advertise. And my mom got a call and she said, I just want to let you know that whoever's driving your van just gave me the finger. This is in Binghamton, New York. This is not in New York City. This is a very small town. So just a word of the wise, if you're driving a vehicle with the phone number of your employer printed on the side, don't give somebody the finger.
So was it you who was the person?
It was not me.
Oh, okay. I was like,
it was not.
It
I thought that's where you're
becomes
going.
like an interrogation situation. We're like, all right, there's only 3 of you in this family that drives this van.
No,
Who is it? Who is it?
It was somebody else who had a little bit. I can't give away any identifying factors, but it was somebody else who was not in our family.
Be smart when you're giving the finger.
Yeah, right.
You don't want to give it to a car that says POLICE
right.
as well.
No, don't flip off the cop. 855-2124-CBS. See you guys on the phones. We'll get back to you in just 1 minute. And we will be back in moments. We check in on Perloff's favorite player next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Lot going on today. Getting to NBA, getting to Maggie's favorite road trip snacks,
Yeah.
which you can find at Maggie and Pearl. Getting into manifestos.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't want to do it because my Phillies are out of it, but I think we should talk some baseball, Maggie.
Yeah, we definitely should. And actually, road trip snacks, this might be a good topic for our guest. Of course, he is a 3-time All-Star, Roberto Clemente Award winner. Perloff's wearing his Clemente shirt. It's, of course, one of our absolute favorites. Curtis Granderson, good enough to join us on behalf of the Chicago Baseball and Educational Academy. This is an academy Curtis Granderson started himself to try to give back to the youth in Chicago, his native town. Curtis, thanks so much for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm great to have on, especially since you're talking about road trip snacks. That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
You got to pack that bag up with some goodies.
Okay, well, listen, let's dive right in. We don't get an all-star to give us his snacks. Do you want to go top 5 here of road trip snacks? Do you want top 3?
So here we go. We got to go Lifesaver gummies, the mixed berries. So they're hard to find sometimes, but if you get them, the purple and that pink and the, the lavender colors, like it hits. Not the original, the mixed berry. Got to have the. You got to go with some the sweet chili Doritos, the purple bag. So that's 2. Only fresh Reese's peanut butter cups, and now it's Halloween. So if you buy some right now, fresh. If they've been sitting in that gas station a little too long to get a little chalky, you definitely don't want that.
That's a health food though. That's basically a protein set. I argue that Reese's is that's a protein bar.
Consider it a post-workout snack. You got the protein to balance and also give you some length on that road trip. So you got those three. You can add in some plain M&Ms, and then lastly some just the original Cheetos. I think that's a good base to get you a good solid 4 hours before you have to refuel.
This is amazing. I mean, you had these ready to go. Curtis Granderson is incredible.
I'm a foodie. Don't let the size fool you. I love to eat.
Curtis, what about on a plane? You guys flew a lot. What do you eat? Is it just peanuts, or when you're a professional athlete, do you get better food on an airplane?
A lot of times they would always have Chick-fil-A before we would get on the plane. And this is going to kind of ruffle a lot of feathers. I'll eat Chick-fil-A if it's there, but I feel like Chick-fil-A is only good when you have the Chick-fil-A sauce. So if they don't have the sauce, if there's nothing else, I'll go to it. But there's a lot of other chicken sandwiches that I really love. And I know this team is no longer in the playoffs, but in Philadelphia with Federal Donuts, their chicken sandwich is absolutely the best.
Wow. Incredible. I'm like blown away by the breadth of knowledge that Curtis Granderson had ready to go on snacks. I mean, you already had my respect, Curtis. It's gone up to just a totally different level. Let's talk a little baseball. Obviously, we've got a World Series. This is a unique matchup here. I don't think anyone had the Diamondbacks and the Rangers when the season started. Give the fans a reason, like a good story or something we should be grabbing onto. Why should the public really be into this World Series? Because it's kind of random.
Yeah, it's random, but it's also what makes it exciting. I got a chance to play in 2006 with the Detroit Tigers. 3 years prior, we were one loss away from having the worst record in all of baseball history. And now we're in the World Series. So you always have that team that can just come up a lot faster than anybody anticipated. And the Arizona Diamondbacks is definitely one of those teams. They have the Rookie of the Year in Corbin Carroll, who steals bases. He can hit the ball out of the ballpark, plays amazing defense, and he hits for average. So you talk about the 5-tool package. He has almost all 5 tools and is an exciting player to watch. Now you flip it over to Texas. You bring in that experience with Bruce Bochy. You bring in players that have won championships over there with Corey Seager and veteran players like Marcus Semien. So it's literally a clash of 2 different types of teams that we're trying to rebuild that are on the biggest stage as the last 2 teams remaining. If you're a sports fan, this is what you want to watch. Teams that are hitting the ball out of the ballpark, teams that are stealing bases, teams with experience, and teams that like to fight, like the Texas Rangers. I mean, you get a little bit of everything.
What was the worst or biggest fight that you were either involved with or tangentially involved with in your career?
We're in Cleveland. I'm with the Detroit Tigers. Gary Sheffield, one of my mentors, all-time favorite players, gets hit by a pitch by, I think at the time his name was Fausto Carmona. He then changed it to Roberto Hernandez. So I'm not sure what name he was going by at the time when he hit Gary Sheffield. So he gets hit and Sheffield stares him down all the way to first base. And I'm sitting at the edge of the Cleveland dugout. So I'm standing there and I'm watching. I go, this isn't looking very good. So Fausto picks over. And then Gary Sheffield doesn't even go back to the base. He goes straight towards Fausto. I'm like, oh, here we go. Antrell Willis, Brandon Edge, and I, we're like the first ones on that edge. Matt Joyce. So we're all getting out there. And the issue with the brawls is you're going, but your head is on a swivel. This is where your peripheral vision really comes in because you don't want to get sucker punched or get hit by somebody accidentally. So you're trying to get into the melee and just make sure nobody really gets hurt. But that one was an extreme one because it happened really quick and everybody was on edge. Detroit, Cleveland, that Ohio, Michigan, Ohio State rivalry all mixed into one.
Wait, did you throw any punches?
No. My hands, like I said, I like to eat. I don't like to fight.
Curtis Granderson throwing punches would have been the shocking thing. He's like one of the good guys of the league, and he's joining us on behalf of the Chicago Baseball and Educational Academy. It's, Curtis, something that when I say close to your heart and near and dear, I mean, this epitomizes what you're all about. You're from Chicago. You started this academy really to bring a lot to inner city kids in Chicago. Explain how it's been going since this started in 2016.
It's great. CBEA, I got the colors loud and proud on right here. You can follow us at cbeauic.org. And the reason that UIC in there is so prevalent, that's my alma mater, the University of Illinois at Chicago. We were able to build the stadium in 2014. In 2016, we started CBEA, which gives kids all over the city an opportunity to step foot on a college campus, a lot of them for the first time ever, and it's all through baseball and softball. They get a chance to practice, play, and train year-round. And as you mentioned, Chicago's my hometown. It is 65 degrees outside right now. Halloween, one of my favorite times of the year, it's going to be 45 degrees out there. So we have to have a space where if these kids want to play and train, they can do it all year long. So we have one of the best views in all of baseball that gets you outside, but when it gets cold like it will next week, we also have the ability to go inside. And this is the place where when the Cubs are in town for their Cubs Fest, the White Sox are in town for their White Sox Fest. And when I was training in the offseason, this is where major league players played and trained. And this always goes all the way down to 8-year-olds. So we have the kids that are getting started all the way up to the professionals getting a chance to get after it baseball-wise all year long in the great city of Chicago, my hometown.
Curtis, where are we with kids in baseball? I mean, there's so many options for young people right now. The sport is obviously has different levels of popularity than when I was a kid. Are kids getting into it? A lot of different kids?
Options are definitely great. I played multiple sports growing up. There's a lot of kids that are still playing baseball. Like I said, I ran track. I played flag football. I bowled. I played basketball. I did them all. And I highly encourage kids and their parents and their coaches to allow them to play as many sports as possible. First and foremost, we never know what you're going to grow up to be. I have a lot of friends that I grew up with, and I ended up being one of the shortest ones. I have a friend that's 6'9", 6'8", 6'4", 6'5". And just imagine if we would have stopped them from playing basketball at an early age. Their potential was still yet to come, and we don't know that at the age of 10, 11, or 12. And the great thing about baseball is we have a lot of kids that are playing between the ages of 6 and 12 all across the country. But when they go from 12 to 13, that's when we see a drastic drop. About 2 million kids stop playing the game at that point in time for a number of different reasons. The fields get a little bit bigger. A lot more things start to become of interest. And then now that whole pay for play model where if I just want to play, my options are limited, where it seems like the only thing I have available is the travel ball route. And travel ball is not cheap.
Yep.
You add expenses of trying to get to and from your equipment. And I have some friends and family that are thinking about purchasing an RV because they're going to save more money doing it that way than going to all the different tournaments and having to stay in the hotels. So that's a problem that we have to try to address, because if you want to play, you should still be able to play.
Again, this is Chicago Baseball and Educational Academy. Curtis Granderson founded this in his hometown, put up his own money. I mean, really, are trying to live this for the hometown city of Chicago. He's a 3-time All-Star. He's a Silver Slugger. And you're doing some TV now, Curtis, which was like the most obvious thing ever. If you're watching your playing career, you're just meant for TV. I'm curious, you're watching on the Fox set, right? I know you're doing stuff for Turner, but you're watching the Fox set. 2 of your former teammates, A-Rod and Jeter, reunited on television. How improbable was it to have those 2 guys be teammates again?
I think it's interesting because A-Rod was one of the smartest baseball minds that I've ever been around throughout the baseball career. The way he just talks about the game, breaks down the game. I know he doesn't want to do this, but he would be a perfect GM for a team because he just knows all those small details, thinks ahead. And you saw it happen in the Arizona Phillies game. There was bunting, there was hit and running, there was sacrifice flies. And I remember him saying to me in 2011 or 12, he goes, we're going to have to start bunting in August or September because you can't ask a player to finally start to bunt for the first time with 50,000 in October with all the pressure if they hadn't done it the previous couple months of the season. And I had never heard anyone break it down like that. It sounds simple, but all of a sudden you get to the postseason and here's that player that hasn't bunted all year long. And now you're asking them to bunt and wondering why they can't get the bunt down. So little things like that he sees. Now you flip it over to Jeter. I can't say that I would have bet that Jeter would have been doing TV, but once he did finally get that opportunity to do it, he's embraced it. His experience, his just champion pedigree, he brings that different element to that set. So it's fun to watch it. I got a lot of friends and family that have been texting me saying, wow, look at the 2 of them up there, and obviously Poppy in the middle. It's fun to bring the game to the fans right before, get them excited before they get a chance to watch what's going to happen, and then let them come out and wrap it up. But I think they've been doing a great job over there at Fox.
Curtis, help us settle a show debate here. I'm a Phillies fan. We lost to the Diamondbacks. I am now rooting for the Diamondbacks because I feel like it makes the Phillies look better if the Diamondbacks win. If a team beats you, did you want to see them go on and succeed to make it look like the loss was better?
Well, the bandwagon is real. We had that TBS promo where hop on the bandwagon. And I think that's what you're saying you're doing.
Yeah, totally.
So you got to jump on the team that has beat your team. I can't say that I necessarily did it from a player standpoint, but at the same time, if that team does beat you and they go on to win it, you go, okay, we got beat by the best team in baseball. You can live with that. But it's hard to go ahead and cheer for one of those other teams when you're in it. But as a fan, I grew up watching the Braves. I was a big Braves fan, even though Chicago is home for me. And whenever they got bounced out of it, I was like, you know what? Let me see who's left and which one of those teams I like better. And 9 times out of 10, it was probably the team that ended up beating the Braves.
Curtis, last one for you. And again, thanks for joining us today. You obviously have the reputation of being a great guy. I mentioned the Roberto Clemente Award winner. You now started a baseball academy in your hometown for underprivileged kids. Which superstar who you played with was the most down to earth? Like, who was the guy? Because you've been with a lot of, really big names. Who was the best guy out of those?
There's so many of them, and I've been blessed to have just great teammates that treated me with respect and just made it fun to come to the ballpark. But probably one that I was really cool was Sean Casey. Sean Casey was a big wrestling fan. I was a big wrestling fan, and we were like two big kids playing Major League Baseball. Whenever we got the opportunity, it would happen a lot. The two of us would start wrestling and end up on the couch. And the game starts in 5 minutes. But that's how we got loose and got relaxed to get ready to roll. And he was pivotal for us to make that 2006 run with the Detroit Tigers. But the list can go on. I was really fortunate. Jeter's one of them. CeCe Sabathia, who I'm still cool with. Edwin Jackson, who's played for every team imaginable. Just to name a few. Just so many guys. Marcus Thames, who's still around being a hitting coach for a number of different teams. Just some really cool guys that I call teammates. And probably one of the goofiest was Maggie Ordonez, from the long hair and just loose and relaxed, a pretty swing, and just one of the best baseball players that I got a chance to be a part of. So truly blessed that I got a chance to do it.
I would pay anything to walk into a clubhouse and see Curtis Granderson putting Sean Casey in a camel clutch. That would have been really, really cool. Curtis, on behalf of Chicago Baseball and Educational Academy, you can find it online, CBEA, to check out more. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Enjoy that road trip.
Oh, Perloff's got a long one coming in front of him. Going to need those snacks.
We'll see.
Only if Wemby wins Rookie of the Year. Bogusch is here. Good morning, Bogusch.
Good morning, and that's where we begin. Wemby, so sweet and innocent, plagued by foul trouble. He managed just 15 points in his NBA debut last night, and Luka and the Mavs did his Spurs dirty, winning in San Antonio 126-119, with Doncic posting 33 points, 13 boards, and 10 assists. But Wemby wants back on the court immediately.
We're all hungry already for the whole season, but especially for the next game, because we want to start our season and with the most wins possible to launch us for the rest of the season. So we're really eager to play on Friday.
I'd give him the Rookie of the Year just for that attitude. The Spurs' next game tomorrow night against the Rockets, who took a 116-96 beating in Orlando last night.
Clearly second language there. It's hard to do post-game interviews when you're not a native speaker who's trying to put together the right words. Do we care if the Spurs win? Does anyone care? Doesn't matter, right?
No, he can still win the award even if they don't win a lot of games.
No, I want to see Wemby be awesome. I don't care if the Spurs win games.
They're not, so who cares?
I want to see him sneak into a play-in. I would love to see Wemby in a play-in game. Like, that would be really cool.
Yeah, or win the in-season tournament.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Oh, actually, that's something they actually could maybe compete in.
That thing.
It's been described to me 14 times, and I still don't know how it's going to work. I'm just going to let it happen, and then we'll see how it goes.
I'm super pro in-season tournament. So
you're super pro.
I'm really excited for this.
Oh, my God.
Why? Right, why?
Because these would be normal regular season games that nobody would care about anyway. So putting some kind of stakes into it and changing it spices up the season.
So your assumption is someone's going to care about it.
Oh, I guarantee you guys, when this gets to semifinals, you get to go to Las Vegas as opposed to being in some cold Detroit or cold Utah. Hitting my microphone. Cold whatever. Like, they would much rather go to those places in December than be wherever they are normally during the NBA season. I think that these players absolutely will care about that.
Did you see the LeBron James Ocean's 11 commercial? I got to admit, I am anti-in-season tournament. I think it's the stupidest thing ever. Then I saw this commercial with Michael Imperioli and LeBron James hyping it. EJ might be right. We might get into it.
I'm just willing to let it happen because I have no idea what it's going to be like, so we'll just let it happen.
I initially am totally against it, but I'm afraid. I'm going to fight it with all I got because it's stupid. You're supposed to win an NBA title, EJ, not an in-season.
You can still do that. Just like a team could win the Maui Invitational and then go on to win the NBA championship. Doesn't mean the Maui Invitational can't happen. Doesn't mean the preseason NIT can't happen. Those are nice events in college basketball. Why can't we have that in the NBA?
Well, because those are not apples-to-apples comparison.
Why?
This is the comparison is soccer. And this is like winning the FA Cup inside the Premier League, which matters because it's soccer and it's been going on for 100 years. But who's going to care about winning a completely unimportant title in December?
No, but I disagree. I think that it is more close to college basketball preseason tournaments because those are teams that are all in the same Division One. Like in soccer, you're talking about an FA Cup. You're talking about teams playing in the smallest leagues, the Scottish leagues, and all those things. Like this is all NBA, just like.
But they're already going to play.
Right, just like in college basketball, a lot of these teams also play again.
Yeah, but they don't need to be redistributed into something that doesn't ever exist before. They're already just let them play their regular games.
Right, but it's a tournament. It's a tournament format. It's different than a regular season. It's a different atmosphere. Like that adds to the game. I don't know how anybody watches Maui Invitational basketball or the thing in the Bahamas, whatever they call that thing, Battle for Atlantis, and says, "Oh, we don't need this. We should just get rid of this."
I love Maggie sitting here eating her popcorn like the popcorn meme. Just saying, she's like, "I want to see how this plays out."
I'm like, guys, give it a shot. No, this is what I can't wait. This is the dilemma. If you win this thing, you win the tournament. How are you supposed to react? Because we clowned the Timberwolves for celebrating when they won a play-in game, like they had just won the NBA title. Are you supposed to go real big? You pour champagne on each other? Like, what's the appropriate response? You can't just like accept the trophy because then it's going to make it seem like it was no big deal. They've got to promote this.
Do you celebrate winning the summer league? Because the T-Wolves used to win that every year too.
No, that's different. Those are not NBA, but those guys aren't NBA players. That's totally different.
There's some NBA players.
No, but it's like every team has maybe one or two guys. Like that. If I'm rooting for the Knicks in the summer league, I'm rooting for my one rookie or two rookies, really.
Okay, I'm into all this. The Maui Invitational. We care who wins the Maui Invitational.
No, I'm saying
I was not under the impression that we cared about that.
Right, we care about it because it's usually during the day, which is good. It's the beginning of the season, which is helpful, and it's Hawaii, and normally Bill Walton's there being Bill Walton. The Battle for Atlantis drives me nuts. They're playing in a convention center, in a wedding hall inside a hotel with a 12-foot ceiling and a makeshift basketball court. If
the women have to play in the garage.
Right. If people are going to care on a random Tuesday that this Nets-Cavs game is a whatever they're calling it, an in-season tournament game, if they're going to care more about that game, then I'll happily be wrong. But what's going to happen is you're going to get there and you're going to go, oh, this is a tournament game? Oh, okay, great. Shrug your shoulders and move on. Maybe the Final Four thing will be cool because it's at least a standalone thing. But like the preliminary games, no one's even know they're happening.
Preliminary, maybe. I'm talking about once we get to knockout round, you have, I think, 8 teams or 6 teams, however they do it. Once you get to that point and people now know, okay, now we're in knockout round. Now there are games that quote unquote matter to this in-season tournament. And you have a trip to Las Vegas potentially on the line.
I love it. Like
they can't go to Vegas on their own. They basically all live there. The NBA
free airfare on Southwest to get to Vegas.
No, we're talking about in the NBA season when these teams, guys playing in Minneapolis, guys playing in Boston, guys playing, in some of the coldest places in America, Chicago. You think
that's great for them? What's it do for us?
Right. No, but that makes good basketball because at that point, then guys will actually want to try to win for something instead of saying, all right, instead I got a week. In 0-degree weather in December in Chicago.
Unless they're going out all week, and then the basketball is not going to be very good. It's going to be a hungover basketball. I feel like there are cases that were brought in front of the Supreme Court that were not argued with the type of gusto.
I can't wait to see where this goes. I'm now watching this stupid in-season tournament because I want to see who's right. Bogus or EJ. I'm dying to know.
God forbid somebody actually celebrates this. You put a banner up. You put this like in your thing. We're the 2-time Commissioner Cup champion. Get out.
One thing.
Leave me alone.
For me, as a Knicks fan, like,
if the Knicks say anything about winning this, they should abstain.
They get to a point where they're playing knockout round games. I want to see how they respond to that. I'm not saying that, I want to see them win. But, I want to see what
situation.
Knockout of what?
Exactly. Just like
go
last
play
night.
the Thunder the next Wednesday. The season doesn't end.
I've seen Tom Thibodeau struggle in these kind of moments. I want to see what he does in a practice situation.
That's true.
Do you think they're
Thibodeau's
blindly scouting potential Commissioner Cup championship
that young
teams?
whippersnapper Tom Thibodeau can't get a hang of these end-of-game situations. He's been in the league since the 80s. Okay, Bogusch, thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Update. All 2 headlines. 855-2124-CBS. Okay, a lot more to do. Our final thought on what's going to happen tonight, Thursday Night Football. My Bills against the Bucs. We get to that in a minute. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots! He scores!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. Conversation this morning. Am I a bad parent? I don't like picking my kid up from school because of the other parents. I walked out and I said to my husband, I'm like, man, I caught a glimpse of myself in like a reflective dish or something. I was like, I can't believe I left the house looking like this. I look so bad. So I ended up taking my kid after to like one of those indoor play places. And again, I look so bad. I look like I had dysentery or something, just like a disease. I get to the front where I'm paying for the kid to go in the play place. And he looks down at the name because you have to sign a waiver. And he's like, the sports commentator? I was like, oh, no. You only get recognized when you look the worst you could possibly look. I just covered my face. I was like, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, I'm a big fan. It was great, and I appreciate the shout-out, but I was so embarrassed for how I looked. Sorry. Yes, that's the shot of the day. I did look like I had dysentery.
Little humble brag in there a little bit.
I only get recognized when I look like a dog. You know what? And the guy would have never recognized me. It was only because my name was on the waiver.
You got to send us a picture, Maggie. I do not buy that you're looking that bad. And I'm not saying that as a compliment either. I just feel like I've never seen you. Vain. I've never seen you wearing baggy gray sweatpants and a T-shirt. I don't know this Maggie.
Just wait. Let's hit the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Mike is in Abilene, Texas. A big Ohio State fan. Want to rub it in the faces of Michigan, Mike?
Good morning, folks. It's such a beautiful morning on this fine day that we have here. You know, it's funny to me. I'd like to start by saying shout out to Zach Gelb. I've been calling him for years. I'm usually not listening or available to the radio at this point in time, but we've had some weather where I'm at, and so I hadn't been working. And I woke up this morning to just more beautiful news that really I felt deep down in my soul because...
Oh, no. Do we lose Mike? He felt it deep in his soul and what?
Did we drop him?
Oh, wait, no, he's here. He's here. Mike, you're back. You went through a dead spot.
I'm still there.
You're here.
I apologize, folks.
It's okay.
So basically, Michigan wins in a row. Everybody loses and forgets that that's like 2 of 3 wins since 2000. Everybody loses their minds. You know, it happens. It comes and goes, but something just wasn't right about the 2 losses. Something just didn't feel right. And lo and behold, once you eat all your boogers, you have no plans, so you cheat. You're one of the most storied college programs in the history of college sports. You currently hold the title for most wins in Division I college football. And what do you do because you can't?
Oh, Mike, you're making this all-time
pull out
rant.
all the stops and you cheat. You cheat to get your players. Then you can't handle that, so you got to know what we're calling. I am so pleased, so happy to be alive and a Buckeye on this morning because just as we all thought, there was something crazy about those wins, and lo and behold, the booger eater is also a cheater.
Mike, why are you a Buckeye in Abilene, Texas?
That's a great question. My father was born and raised in Cleveland before he moved to Texas I think he was 19 or 20, so I was just raised correctly, as we say in my household. Now, I'm a Cowboys fan, so unfortunately...
Oh, you're like LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about all that, but, all my family besides my father is from Texas, and I've grown up in Texas, different parts, but I'm a Texan. And so, they're all Cowboys fans, and so I got to see those 3 Super Bowls as a young child. And unfortunately, I'm not like these new kids. I can't just change teams and, who won it this year? Well, that's my team, obviously, because so
that's not just kids, by the way. That's also Perloff.
Mike, you got to call back Ohio State week. You definitely have to call back.
You're welcome
I have
back
to let
on
y'all
the
know,
show.
I have a bet with Zach Gelb.
Yeah.
I called him a couple years ago, right before the first.
Mike, we're losing you again. We got to get you a better connection. Yeah. And then we'll get the rest of the story.
Well, the rant, we lost him during the rant, but we got his life story in the second part. That came in clear.
I also think that calling Jim Harbaugh a booger eater is an all-time.
Wait, is that true?
No.
He said it as if it was a fact.
EJ Stewart, Pete Bellotti, Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Weedos and Coffee Drinkers, callers. Heard from Big Dave today. Heard from Mike today. Oh, boy. What do we get tomorrow? Who knows? We'll see you then. Peace. I could get impregnated by a Raising Cane's lunch order.